Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. All Mage. Only I Know How to Kill Dragons. Chapter 61. Cool. At this time, Su Xin was sitting in the magic power training room that Zantian acted for him, enjoying the pleasure of absorbing magic power. With the improvement of his various values, Su Xin found that the speed at which he absorbed magic power would also increase, and the efficiency was greatly accelerated. Of course, now that the upper limit of mental power determines the upper limit of strength and mana, it still gives him some headaches. But there is no way, if there is no corresponding big soul, it is impossible to control the too powerful body. Student Su, is it convenient for me to explain? At this time, Su Xin vaguely heard someone calling his name outside, but he didn't care. Calling him, Student Su, probably isn't very important to him. Student Su. Student Su. After the people outside shouted for a while, they finally revealed their identity. I'm here to Qing Su on behalf of Lord Duke. Su Xin's expression was shocked by these words. The most powerful person in Tianan, Tianan Gongnangong Dragon, is also the only holy mage in Tianan province, and he is an old monster who has lived for more than 300 years. Su Xin felt helpless. He actually didn't want to give anyone face, but his strength didn't allow it. Slowly walking out of the magic room, there was a middle-aged man wearing a black mage robe waiting outside. Seeing him coming out, he slightly nodded and said, Student Su, please. Su Xin said, May I take the liberty to ask, why did Your Excellency the Duke invite me over? Student Su, don't worry, nothing bad will happen. The middle-aged man in black robe showed a kind smile. All right. Su Xin didn't ask any more questions, followed him and left. Just walk on the front foot. Zan Tianxing appeared not far away. Didn't Nangong Dragon say that he was in retreat to attack the upper rank of the holy rank? Why did he suddenly leave the retreat? It's broken. It's not good for me if the Nangong Dragon intervenes. Zan Tianxing's face was gloomy, and he felt that something bad was going to happen to him. The principal of the Mediterranean is indeed selfish and indifferent, and only cares about his own interests. If he had treated Su Xin as an elder like a mentor from the beginning of 11, then at least he would have a different relationship with Su Xin now, direct transactional relationship. But because of his personality, Zan Tianxing didn't feel that he did something wrong. Ducal Mansion. In the courtyard, birds are singing and flowers are fragrant, and there are pavilions and pavilions. An old man lived in a hut, with white hair and handsome face. His face was not angry and majestic, and he was drinking a pot of tea by the lake. Sitting opposite the old man was an old man with long hair and a wild look. The one who made the tea was Nangong Long, the Duke of Tianan, and the one sitting in front of him was the director of the Third Magic Research Institute of the Empire, Marquis Jin Zhano. Meet the two seniors. Su Xin looked serious, and saluted the two powerful mages as juniors. Sure enough, you are a good-looking talent, dragon and phoenix among people. Speaking of which, you and I should have met a long time ago. It's a pity that you are eager to go out to practice, so I missed it. Tian Nangong continued to make tea calmly, while Jin Zhano got up slightly and smiled at Su Xin. Su Xin couldn't help being a little weird. This is Jin Zhano, Golden Monkey. Isn't it rumored that this Jin Zhano has a domineering personality and is arbitrary, so why does he have a playful smile on his junior? Su Xin is not afraid of strong mages putting on airs in front of him, because he feels that if he belongs to the strong, he will do the same to the weak. That is the majesty of being strong. But now that Jin Zhano lowered his attitude towards him so much, it made Su Xin very vigilant. There will be no pies in the sky, only high-altitude parabolic. As a proud person, there are naturally powerful and strong people who will train you in every possible way, but their purpose of training is not purely for training. It was indeed the junior's fault that time. The junior will give you a fault here. I hope Senior Jin just cares. Su Xin collected his thoughts and bowed to Jin Zhano. There is no need to be cautious. You are the arrogance and evildoer of my Tianan province. The old man can tolerate your arrogance. Jin Zhano laughed, but as soon as he finished speaking, the action of making tea in the hands of the Duke over there suddenly paused. Sit down. Jin Zhano noticed this and couldn't help being startled. Then he waved to Su Xin and signaled him to sit down. Su Xin was amused. This Jin Zhano was really pretending, and he tolerated his arrogance. I don't know why the Duke called the junior. After Su Xin sat down, He took a cup of tea pushed over by Tian Nangong, swallowed the jujube like Zubaji eats ginseng fruit, and then got straight to the point. This has always been Su Shen's character, and he will not be intimidated just because the other party is a holy mage. Come, the holy mage is really extraordinary. Tian Nangong is standing in front of his eyes, but if he closes his eyes and perceives it, he will not be able to perceive the existence of the other party at all, and there is a kind of charm that melts into the world. You don't need to be nervous, just calm down. Tian Nan opened his mouth. His voice was as gentle as that of an old man next door, and he continued. Just now, the butcher sent people to invite those who came from the emperor back. Su Shen was a little puzzled when he heard this. Jin Jano took the opportunity and said, the people who come represent a lot of backgrounds, including the prince, the emperor's grandson, and those mage families with deep foundations rooted in the imperial capital. Senior Nangong asked these people to go back, is it right? I don't want you to fall into the power vortex of the imperial capital too early. They're all here to recruit me. Su Shen was pointed out, but it is not clear where. It can be said, but your background is too shallow, and there is no support from others behind you. Tianzhao is Tianzhao, and the strong is strong. The two are not the same. You have not fully grown up. If you choose one side to join too early, then it will definitely arouse the resentment of the other side, and it will not be sure whether you can grow up safely by then. Jin Jano continued to speak, implying that Su Shen is still too weak now, with no talent against the sky, but no bargaining chip to protect himself wisely. Once caught in the power vortex of the imperial capital, it is difficult to have good results. Seeing Su Shen's fearless expression, Jin Jano couldn't help frowning, and pointedly said, since the founding of the Kyushu Empire, everyone knows that the 18-year-old 6th-level mage is the pinnacle of genius mages, but no one cares about it. None of the 3 Tianzhao before you who stepped into the ranks of 6th-level mages when they were 18 years old safely stepped into the ranks of 9th-level transcendent grade mages. Su Shen was shocked and asked, will someone in the Kyushu Empire deliberately suppress geniuses? Yes, and no, if an empire suppresses talents, then the empire will perish sooner or later. But if an empire does not suppress talents, then the royal family of this empire will change sooner or later. Do you understand what this old man means? The junior understands and understands. Su Shen hastily nodded, gratefully. This Jin Jano looks thick-browed and big-eyed, but he didn't expect it to be an old sow wearing a bra, a set of sockets when playing conspiracy theories. What he said does not sound aimless, but it cannot be believed entirely. Then what should the younger generation do next to protect themselves wisely? Su Shen followed Jin Janu's words and asked, give up this elite competition, and withdraw from the world's attention. If you want, you can worship Senior Nangong as your teacher. With Senior Nangong's protection, your wings can grow safely. When you have the power to protect yourself in the future, you will be able to show yourself in front of the world. Not too late. Jin Janu's face suddenly became solemn, and his tone was sonorous and forceful. Su Shen sneered inwardly after hearing this. If you do this, wouldn't you become Tian Nangong faction? What's the difference from joining the big forces in the imperial capital? In Su Shen's mind, Su Shen didn't want to join, no matter if it was Tian Nangong or those big figures in the imperial capital. He, Su Shen, has traveled to such a wonderful world, and he doesn't want to be someone else's vassal. When he was still weak, no one took the initiative to accept him as an apprentice, so it was impossible for him, Su Shen, to take others as his teacher. I, Su Shen, can become a 6th-level mage in a few months, and I am confident that I will become a holy mage in a few years, or even shorter, so why sleep soundly on the side of other people's couch? The icing on the cake just adds elegance. The atmosphere suddenly became a little quiet. What if I don't intend to take His Majesty the Duke as my teacher? After a long silence, Su Shen raised his head and faced Jin Jano. Jin Jano couldn't help taking a breath, as if he didn't expect Su Shen to be so tough. He just got angry, and when he was about to speak, Tian Nangong on the side pressed his hands on him. Accepting an apprentice is based on your love and my wish. If you don't want to, the old man will naturally not force it. After you accept this interspatial ring, you can leave. With Tian Nangong's right hand, a space ring landed on the table in front of him crisply. This junior thanked Lord Duke for his kindness, but this interspatial ring is still Before Su Xin refused, Tian Nangong said, "The icing on the cake is also a flower. Since the old man has no chance to become a mentor and apprentice with you, I will have a good relationship with you. If you can really take off in the future, you will be able to soar to the sky. To remember today's good relationship will be sufficient medicine." 17. Tian Nangong is not the Marquis of the Golden Sword, so he wants to show both kindness and power. His meaning is very clear: if you can't become a master and apprentice, then you will have a good relationship. In this way, the junior will thank the Duke. When the other party said this, Su Xin took over the interspatial ring. "That's good. If you really resolutely give up the elite competition and practice here with the old man may be a little disappointed. A young man must have the ambition of Ling Yun, and promise the world's first-class youthful age. How can he be short of me? Domineering. If you want to fight, then go for it. His Majesty will offer extremely high rewards in this elite competition. For you, this is also a rare opportunity." Tian Nangong smiled slightly. It's just that what he said made Su Xin feel weird. Although this era is also a modern society, it is far from what it was before time travel, with a lot of chicken soup on the internet. This chicken soup encourages Su Xin to be forced to vomit. "I'm afraid that if I agree to worship Tian Nangong as my teacher, the other party will say something like, 'Retreating bravely is called knowing the opportunity, great wisdom is like a fool, keep a low profile and keep a low profile.'" But Su Xin still had to pretend to be extremely helpful, and hurriedly said solemnly, "The words of Lord Duke really enlightened the younger generation, and the younger generation has realized that this elite competition must go all out. As long as you know what's in your mind." Tian Nangong smiled more kindly. He hesitated for a moment, then took out another jade pendant, and said, "If you are in danger in the future, you can activate this jade pendant with magic power, and I will go to the rescue." "Thank you, Duke." Su Xin took the jade pendant and put it in his arms respectfully. And after making up his mind, find someone to appraise it to see if the jade pendant still has the positioning function when it is not activated. If it does, then find a place to throw it away. In that case, the junior will leave first. Well, because of it. Just as he was about to leave, Jin Jano sounded a reminder. "Zhan Tianxing is selfish and selfish. He is backed by the imperial capital Mawang Mansion. His friendship with you is just to use you in exchange for higher benefits from Mawang. Don't be too gullible in his words." Su Xin paused for a moment, then nodded, and then left the Duke's mansion. After he left, only then did Jin Jano say unwillingly, "Senior Nangong, do you really want to let this Su Xin join other forces?" "Can't do it." Tian Nangong shook his head helplessly, and said, You are still too shallow. This Su Xin has such a frivolous personality, do you expect him to be willing to condescend to others? How can you force it? Today is the icing on the cake, and if there is an opportunity in the future, it would be better to give charcoal in the snow. For such evildoers who cannot be overcome by common sense, the best choice is to treat them frankly. After Jin Jano heard this, he stopped talking. He has a domineering personality. In his opinion, even if Su Xin is a rare talent in 500 years, a holy mage who wants to accept him as a disciple but refuses to accept it as a sign of ignorance. When Su Xin returned to the magic training room, he met Zhan Tianxing and said a few innocuous words. Zhan Tianxing will not recommend Su Xin to join a certain force at this time. He still has to rely on the favor that exists between himself and Su Xin to sell for a price between King Mu and other big shots, and get what you need. As for the Duke's mansion and his party, Su Xin naturally did not have the slightest liking for Jin Jano. Then he opened the interspatial ring that was the icing on the cake of Master Duke, and couldn't help but frown. The element crystals inside are piled up like hills, most of which are gold and fire elements, and the total value will definitely not be less than 2 billion. There are also 5 bottles of high-level mental strength enhancement potions. This kind of thing is almost priceless, and it is extremely difficult to collect complete materials for making it. In addition, there are 6 high-level Warcraft cores, but it seems that they are all 7th level. And then gone. Of course Su Xin was very satisfied. He didn't expect that when he opened the space ring, there would be a variety of things that he couldn't recognize the names inside. What he wants is precisely the absorbable element spar, plus a special potion to enhance spiritual power. As for the monster core, He doesn't really need it. I can tell. Zhan Tianxing's every move is under the control of the Duke's mansion, otherwise Tian Nangong would not know that Su Shin needs a special potion to enhance the spirit power potion. In this case, Su Shin is holding the space ring, his eyes are hot. Then I can try to attack the 7th Order Mage. But suddenly thought of something. Su Shin didn't start rushing immediately. According to the previous rhythm, if I step into the 7th level Mage, I will definitely get another dragon-slaying magic. Now that his various resistances are average, the newly obtained dragon-slaying magic is random. So he was going to acquire brand new dragon-slaying magic in a targeted manner. Su Shin thought of her. Hot woman. That senior sister Qi who is greedy for her body. She is a necromancer. If her resistance to necromantic power is greatly increased, wouldn't she have a high probability of obtaining a brand new dragon slayer magic that she didn't know about, corresponding to the necromantic system? If successful, what would it be? Deathwing, do as you think. Su Shin immediately took out her mobile phone and sent Qi a message, asking her to come to the basement of the Alchemy Club. After an hour, Qi pushed open the door of the basement of the Alchemy Society building, and when she saw Su Shin standing in front wearing only a pair of big underpants, her eyes lit up and she said, "Brother Su, are you seducing me?" Qi was still the same as usual, with disheveled long hair and no attention to appearance. She looked at Su Shin's almost perfect body, and somewhere in her heart was burning. Hearing this strange senior sister's words, Su Shin couldn't help but turn dark, but said in a deep voice, "Senior sister, I want you to help me practice." Qi nodded and asked successively, "Which aspect specifically? What do I gain afterward?" Su Shin replied one by one, "The senior sister used her own necromantic magic to attack me. As for the benefits, the frivolousness of the senior sister before me will be written off." Every time he thinks back to that time, Qi would show him a scene where Xiao Yan touches Xiao Zuner's bones every night, which made him suffer from humiliation and kept it in his heart. "It's no good, forget it." Qi pretended to be disappointed, and wanted to turn around and leave. Hey, sack of bridge beans." Su Shin was helpless, and said angrily, "What benefits does senior sister want?" "Brother, just give me some of your blood later." Qi expressed her request. This made Su Shin a little dazed, asking for her own blood. In fact, she was able to get some by herself when she was seriously injured, but she didn't, which shows that although this senior sister has an unpredictable temper, she still respects people. Well, she should have little respect for the dead. OJBK. Su Shin readily agreed, if Qi can research something with just some of her own blood, but this senior sister is really a genius who is one in a million. Full strength. Seeing Su Shin getting ready, Qi tilted her head, and Ni looked cute. "No, you don't need to use all your strength. As long as the senior sister keeps attacking herself with necromantic magic, it may last for a long time." Su Shin replied, and then opened his arms. His almost perfect body was defenseless waiting for the opponent to attack. Okay then, necromantic whip of the dead. Qi gave a low shout. She didn't summon her own undead, but stretched out her right hand, and condensed a long green whip that lingered like a will-o'-the-wisp. Pia. Qi is holding a long whip, and the whole room is on Su Shin's shoulder. Su Shin's eyes lit up immediately. This necromantic magic is worthy of being a special magic. When he was hit, he clearly felt his soul tremble slightly, which showed that necromantic magic had a considerable attack effect on the souls of the living. Su Shin looked at the system prompt again. Really? With this whip, talent, hardened, will be activated immediately. Under the premise of gaining a certain defense value increase, the death resistance will be plus or minus 10. Death resistance. This resistance moved Su Shin slightly. The younger brother's body is really abnormally strong, but the senior sister can't bear to whip the younger brother like this. Qi looks like a slut. What fascinates her is not Su Shin's personality, but Su Shin's body. So the unbearable tears flowed from the corner of my mouth. "Sister, don't be distracted, keep going." Su Shin urged in a low voice. "Hurry up. Speed up the frequency. Let the master brush the death resistance and it's over." Qi wiped the drool from her mouth, and began to speed up the rhythm according to Su Shin's words. For a while, the resounding whipping sound echoed throughout the basement room. Su Shin had a defense value of more than 260,000 at this time, and Qi was not at full strength, so her attack did not cause any damage to Su Xin at all. Half an hour passed. Su Xin's upper body was still clean, without any scars. Jin Shisen appeared in the basement corridor. Before entering the basement, Su Xin and Qi Shi's voices came from the basement room with the door open. Senior sister, Li Wei, do you have food? You can really say it, Junior, then senior sister will step up her efforts from now on. It's exactly what I want. As much strength as you want, the younger brother can fully support it. Ha, Jin Shisen froze in place for a moment, his heart skipped a beat. What are Su Xin and senior sister Qi doing in the basement room? She seemed to be thinking about something not so good, and her face was already flushed. But she still gritted her teeth, stuck her head out by the door, and peeked at the situation inside. Just in time, Qi Shi was whipping Su Xin vigorously, as if the two were playing some special game. You, what are you doing? Jin Shisen couldn't accept it, and shouted at the two of them. San, you came at the right time. Su Xin was overjoyed when he saw the golden retriever girl. Jin Shisen is ashamed and angry. It's not the right time for Russia to come here. What are you talking about? Su Xin shrugged, and continued. Senior sister Qi has almost used up all her magic power. I don't have any recovery magic power potion with me. If you have any, please lend me some first. Then, after Su Xin explained, Jin Shisen suddenly realized that it was senior sister Qi who was helping Su Xin practice. It's just that this strange way of cultivation still made Jin Shisen a little puzzled, but when he thought that what happened to Su Xin, a perverted evildoer, he seemed to be relieved. How did you appear here? Qi Shi took the magic potion that Jin Shisen handed over, and asked questions while taking it. Senior sister Qi, aren't you the ring master who challenged the 19th ring? It's time for you to come on stage, but the phone can't be reached. Brother 12th asked me to come to the basement to inform you. Jin Shisen said angrily, but after finishing it, there are some emotions. Qi Shi has the strength to challenge the ring master, which shows that she is already a 6th order method. It seems that Qi Shi made a breakthrough in the process of transforming the corpse of the 9th level transcendent great mage into a necromancer. It's not so surprising. After all, Qi Shi is the second only to Jin 12 among the students of Tian'an University, and the second place in the student ranking list. Challenges can be challenged at any time. Now let's help my junior practice. He suddenly asked me to help him cultivate. It must be very important to me. Qi Shi pondered for a while, and said so obtained. After all, there are 15 days in the preliminary round, and this is only the first day, so there is no need to be impatient. If he wins the ring master, he will inevitably be challenged by other challengers in turn. After listening to Qi Shi's words, Su Xin was greatly moved. Then how can I help? Jin Shisen was silent for a while, then asked Su Xin. Thank you, San, but I don't need it for now. What I need is senior sister Qi's necromantic magic. Jin Shisen let out an "oh," and then stood aside, silently watching the two people's strange training competition. This process lasted for 10 hours. Only when Qi Shi can no longer wave the whip will he announce the termination of the practice. Su Xin fulfilled the agreement and took out a test tube of blood and handed it to Qi Shi. And his death resistance at this time has reached 500 plus. The next time you get a Dragon Slayer magic package, it is very likely that it will be a new Dragon Slayer magic about this, death resistance. The next day, the preliminary competition in the Tian'an competition area is still in full swing. Whether it is watching live or watching the live broadcast online, the number of people has not decreased but increased, and the popularity is increasing every moment. Same time, the names of various genius mages also began to spread on the internet along with the battle scenes in the arena, refreshing the general public's perception of genius mages time and time again. Of course, even though no one is challenging Su Xin now, the popularity brought by the word, Su Xin, is the highest in the entire network. Student Su, the principal said that he can only support your cultivation for 3 days at most. At the entrance of the magic power training room, the teacher who was responsible for adding elemental crystals to the magic circle stopped Su Xin. I see. By the way, thank the headmaster for me. Su Xin paused, but felt normal. He has already eaten Zhan Tianxing's wealth of more than 1 billion yuan, and the latter is estimated to be close to the limit. After all, he spends at least 100 million on the internet for spar in the training room every day. The relationship with Zhan Tianxing is purely transactional, so there is nothing wrong with the former's decision. After entering the practice room, Su Xin began to take the high-level mental power-enhancing potion obtained from Tian Nangong. There are 5 bottles in total, but the effect makes Su Xin a little disappointed. The annual output of these priceless magical potions is very small, and it is hard to say whether the entire Tianan province can have a bottle, but one bottle only provided him with about 2,000 mental power values. Compared with the effect, it seems that my own talent, Soul Drain, is better. 5 bottles, a total of 10,000 points of spiritual power, plus the previous improvement of Yamada Jiro and 3 6th level high-ranking monsters, Su Xin's spiritual power has increased by 13,000 points in total. This also means that with a balance ratio of 1:10, Su Xin can increase his strength and mana by another 130,000. The strength and mana values already exceeded 100,000, and with 130,000 more, Su Xin is confident that he will be able to step into the 7th level mage in one fell swoop. So, the next thing is the boring, fast and efficient time to increase the numerical value. Still the same as usual, practice 24 hours a day for 10 hours, and the rest of the time is used to buffer the aftereffects of the high-intensity improvement of the body. So repeated, day after day. On the 4th day, Su Xin returned to his student villa and began to devour the elemental crystals presented by Tian Nangong. The efficiency of devouring elemental crystals is lower than that in the magic training room, but it is still increased according to the exaggerated rate BBAC of 10,000 daily strength and spiritual power values. In a blink of an eye, Tian Ri was lost. This day, Su Xin suddenly opened his eyes and broke through. From the 6th level to the 7th level, the big watershed is not so easy to break through. But for Su Xin, it seems that if the numerical value reaches the standard, it will directly break through, and there is no bottleneck at all. Look at your own personal data panel again, it is extremely luxurious. Host: Su Xin. Age: 18. Level: 7th tier lower mage. Strength: 205,000. Defense: 630,000. Mental power: 24,000. Magic value: 208,000. Has mastered magic, slightly. Dragon Slayer Master Adaptive Force LV4, 110,500 thousandths. Talents: Magic Conversion, Tempered, Soul Draining, Elementalization. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting the Dragon Slaying Magic package, do you want to open it now? At this time, the system sent a reminder. As Su Xin expected, after breaking through to the 7th level, he will get another Dragon Slayer Magic package. Where would he hesitate? Open. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Dragon Slayer Magic. With a prompt from the system, Su Xin's expectant face immediately turned into joy. You guessed it. Brand new Dragon Slaying Magic, Underworld Dragon Slayer Magic. When Su Xin thought about it, his whole body was filled with a layer of faint blue magic power, which was the magic power of death, which made Su Xin exude an indescribable breath of death all over his body. At the same time, Su Xin's real mana is doubled again, which is 6 times of the mana on the panel. It is worth mentioning that the experience value of Master Long Mie's self-adaptive ability is increasing slowly, and there is still nearly 400,000 experience points short. Now I have entered the 7th level, but why do I feel that I can't mobilize the magic power between heaven and earth? After a while, Su Xin showed some doubts on his face. The sign of stepping into the 7th level is that you can initially use the magic power between heaven and earth, which is also a necessary prerequisite for casting high-level magic. The magic power required for high-level magic is still too little based on the amount stored in the mage's body. However, after Su Xin tried everything, but he came to the conclusion that he really couldn't use the magic power between the heaven and the earth now, but the body's automatic absorption rate of the magic power between the heaven and the earth accelerated. That is to say, Su Xin doesn't need to meditate anymore. Even if he is lying flat like a salted fish, he will still carry out the so-called automatic cultivation, and the effect is not low. Su Xin's magic power is completely integrated with the body, perhaps it is this reason that he cannot use the magic power between heaven and earth. This made Su Xin ponder for a while, not knowing whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. Su Shin doesn't care about things that are unclear, at least his current strength can be said to be automatically improved every hour. Su Shin tried it out. If you don't do anything, just sit for an hour, your strength and mana will automatically increase by 100, that is, there will be 2,400 power stars to write the mana value every day. It would be fine if the power and mana values were just increased, but the key point is that the spiritual power value also increased accordingly. It seems that the 7th level is also a threshold for Su Shin. After stepping over it, the problem of mental power not keeping up will be solved to a certain extent. There are still 4 days until the end of the preliminary round. However, Su Shin's improvement was far from stopping. He made up his mind and continued to devour the remaining elemental crystals. 3 days later, Su Shin's power magic value increased again by 35,000, and his defense value also broke through the 700,000 mark. This day, Su Shin walked out of the student's villa with high spirits. He never underestimated his ascension speed, but he did not expect to underestimate it. I didn't even think that after I became a 7th level mage, it was the beginning of my real takeoff. Today is the last day of the preliminary round of the 9 competition areas, and the challenges in the arena on the last day are extremely fierce. At this time, Zhan Tianxing performed the so-called divination magic in the principal's office. Has Su Shin stepped into the 7th rank of mage? He took this as a topic and started divination. How could Zhan Tianxing not think about the element spar that consumes hundreds of millions of wealth every day? Although that sounds appalling. However, divination failed. Divination reveals that Su Shin is a dead man. It's the reason for the dragon-slaying magic of the underworld. Divination magic is not absolutely efficacious. It cannot divine the dead, nor can it divine some special groups of people, such as necromancers, etc. Looking at the result of divination failure in front of me, Zhan Tianxing couldn't help but fell silent. This Su Shin, could it be possible that he has mastered undead magic during the nearly half-month of penance? Compared with his growth speed, this speed of mastering magic is even more terrifying. On the final day of the preliminary round, Su Shin rarely appeared in the student battle zone. The penance lasted for more than 10 days, although there was rest time every day, but I didn't communicate with others during this time, and it was really boring. Su Shin. It's Su Shin. Su Shin just passed me by. Is this the number 1 Tianzhou in Kyushu? People are so popular. Why is he so talented and more handsome than me? The appearance of Su Shin immediately caused a large-scale commotion among the audience below the ring. The shadow of a man's famous tree. With Su Shin's popularity today, he will be the most handsome boy in the crowd wherever he goes. Su Shin looked around and found the location of the members of the Alchemy Society, then strode over. Brother 12 isn't going to participate in this elite competition. Seeing Jin 12 leisurely and carefree off stage, he couldn't help being a little puzzled. With Jin 12's strength, he might have no chance of winning against the 7th rank mages, but how can there be so many 7th rank mages under the age of 25? If he competes, as long as he is lucky, it is not a problem to compete for the top 100. No, I'm not very interested in the elite competition. Jin 12 shook his head and laughed, looking very free and easy. Su Shin looked at Qi Shi at the side again. Jin Shisen said from the side. Senior sister Qi just defeated a ring master a few days ago, but was picked out of the ring by others yesterday. It seems that the strength of Qi Shi's 6th level mage is still not enough. Su Shin looked at PHS senior sister again, and said a few words to her. In addition, the 2nd-year domain mage brother Li Cheng, the 4th-year brother Zhao Yun, the 3rd-year brother Lin Jia, illusion mage, and Su Shin also had a few words with them. The reason Su Shin was so close was because he had completely regarded himself as a member of the Alchemy Society. At this time, Hua Yuk from the Water God Temple walked over here with a smiling face, apparently wanting to have a chat with Su Shin. It is worth mentioning that the big girl with exaggerated chest muscles of Shui Lianhua is now fighting hard in the ring on the 29th. This woman is not low in talent, and she is also an ice mage, so she is qualified to compete for the top 100. Student Su. Hua Yuk came with the other 3 members of the Water God Temple, and politely cupped their fists at Su Shin. Is there a problem? Su Shin stretched out his hand not to hit the smiling man, and started talking with him. No, I just want to get acquainted with classmate Su. During the conversation, Hua Yuk informed Su Shin of the general situation of the top 100 players in Tianan Division. There are 10 7th level mages in total, and he has one missing one. The first 3 chief disciples of Tianan University accounted for 3, and one of them was the former president of the Alchemy Club, Mu Tongqing, who was only older than Jin 12. 1 year old, but this year he is still a 7th rank low rank mage. This senior sister Mu Tongqing is not a descendant of a family, but her background is not small, she is one of Tian Nangong's registered disciples. It's not that the unnamed disciples are bad, but since Tian Nangong's 3 direct disciples died, he didn't take any more direct disciples. Last time he wanted to take Su Shin as his disciple, he reckoned that he was planning to take enclosed disciples. There are 6 remaining, one of them is Chen Yi, a genius from the Chen family of the Mage family in Tianan province, who is just 25 years old this year. The remaining 5 are all 7th rank mages from other countries. Strictly speaking, it is a genius 7th level mage, because there is no 7th level mage under the age of 25 who is not worthy of being called a genius. Except for these 10 7th level mages, the remaining 89 are all at the upper level of 6th level. 20 of the 89 are natives of Tianan province, which shows how talented the Kyushu Empire is. In another place, Los Angeles students of the same age as Su Shin, headed by Shui Hua, gathered together. The green tea sister Meng Yuanyuan looked at Su Shin, who was chatting with Hua Yuk not far away, with a smile on her face, then turned to Liang Yun, who was silent at the side, and said, "The person you like is now the number 1 pride in Kyushu." Liang Yun was ashamed and quickly defended, "What are you talking about? Still pretending, you are both women, I joined the Narcissus Society with you, and I haven't been able to see your thoughts after getting along for a few months. It's your shy character that makes you and Su Shin farther and farther away." Meng Yuanyuan pouted and continued, "Look, besides his younger sister Yongsu, besides Su Shin, who is not the proud daughter of heaven. That Jin Shisen, with blonde hair and big breasts, has a prominent family background, and his father is even 9th order. Transcendent Archmage. The one who pretends to be dumb, speaking spirit magic is so rare that the entire Kyushu Empire can't find it in 2 hands. And the one with disheveled hair, she is the 2nd-ranked student of Tianan University, but she shouldn't pose any threat." Quote. Meng Yuanyuan had just finished speaking. Yongsu seemed to notice something, looked at them. Liang Yun didn't speak, but lowered her head. "The current Su Shin is different from the past. You should have done it as early as in Los Angeles number 2 middle school." But Meng Yuanyuan still feels sorry for Liang Yun. She could tell that Liang Yun had been secretly in love with Su Shin for a long time. Liang Yun's liking is not because of Su Shin's current achievements. She has always been so shy in front of Su Shin, but she has been secretly in love with Su Shin for a long time. But that Su Shin doesn't seem to be aware of it yet. His strength has improved so fast, and the people around him will be alienated from him. As for us Los Angeles students, he probably has long forgotten about him. When he goes to the imperial capital, there will definitely be more Yingying and Yanyan by his side. Maybe, this meeting will be the last time you will see him. Meng Yuanyuan felt sad for Liang Yun and also felt sorry for herself. "If I climb up to Su Shin, I will become his woman, even if it is a vase." Meng Yuanyuan had just finished speaking. Su Shin looked towards Liang Yun under Yongsu's reminder, then smiled and waved to Liang Yun, motioning for her to come over. Shui Hua couldn't help laughing. "Meng Yuanyuan, you are too snobbish, although we are not the same kind of people as Su Shin, but Su Shin is not that kind of character that is too arrogant." After all, he straightened his appearance, greeted other Los Angeles students and walked towards Su Shin. Liang Yun pursed her lips, and also stepped forward to follow. Poor Liang Yun, I still don't know that Su Shin is the man she can't get, and he's also the man I can't get. Hey. Meng Yuanyuan looked at Liang Yun's background and sighed softly. Then he immediately changed his state, put on a sweet smile, quickly walked past Shui Hua, who was at the front, deliberately shaking his big breasts, and smiled at Su Shin. "Student Su Shin, we haven't seen each other for a long time." "Well, long time no see." Su Shin has no feelings for this green tea girl, but she still finds her quite interesting. "Squad leader, how are you doing recently?" After speaking with Meng Yuanyuan, Su Xin turned back to the monitor level with a smile on his face. In fact, Su Xin realized that with the rapid improvement of his strength and the increasing distance between himself and the people around him may not even be able to look at his back. The stronger the strength, the harder it is to make true friends, let alone confidant. So he felt that he should take time to care about his interpersonal relationships. 5 o'clock in the evening. The top 100 players in the Tianan competition area are officially determined, and the 100 players are not divided into rankings. And in order to hurry up, he had to go to the imperial capital overnight. At the moment, at 6 o'clock in the evening, a special plane slowly lifted off from Tianan Airport and headed for the center of the Kyushu Empire, the imperial capital. It was 9 o'clock in the evening. In the imperial capital Tenglong Hotel, a total of 900 Tianzhou players from the top 100 players in the 9 competition areas of the Kyushu Empire gathered here and held a banquet. This banquet will be hosted by Emperor Qianyuan's favorite grandson, Xia Hongming. That is to say, the 19th grandson of the empire had contact with Mage Tianzhou from all over the world earlier than others. The lobby of the large hotel is big enough to accommodate 1,000 people. At this moment, the 900 Tianzhou sat down according to their positions and looked at Xia Hongming in the center of the hall. He is His Highness Xia Hongming, the emperor's most beloved grandson of Emperor Qianyuan, 787. It is said that His Majesty Qianyuan intends to make him the crown prince. Next to Su Xin, the familiar Hua Yuk whispered something to Su Xin. Is it necessary for you to be his commentator? You are the godson of the water temple. Shui Lianhua at the side muttered indignantly. Lianhua has this personality. Su Xin, don't worry about it. Hua Yuk laughed, not feeling embarrassed, but at the same time, he wanted Su Xin to ignore the water lotus flower who was like a resentful woman. Su Xin chuckled, ignoring Shui Lianhua and Hua Yuk, and started talking in a low voice. Everyone, please listen to what I said. It is about the semi-finals of the elite competition. At this time, Xia Hongming spoke loudly with a smile on his face. He has the majesty of the royal family. After all, he has been in a high position for a long time, even a fool will have a bit of temperament. The crowd of Tianzhou stopped talking and waited quietly for the emperor's grandson to speak. What he said about the semi-finals made many Tianzhou mages a little confused. After the preliminary competition, but there are 900 Tianzhou mages, is it possible that they will be directly eliminated on a large scale in the next competition system? The next knockout match will be held in the secret world created by the magician. At that time, all the elders behind you can enter the secret world to ensure fairness and justice. The secret knockout match will also last for half a month, and the top 3 will be determined in the end. Only the top 10 will go to the final ring finals. As soon as Xia Hongming said the following words, the audience was in an uproar. God Mage. Everyone knows that above the Holy Mage is the God Mage, and once you become a God Mage, it means that you will live forever, have endless life, and become a god in the true sense. But regarding the Divine Mage, what is left now are only some legends. Now the grandson of the emperor actually mentioned the secret world created by the magician. How can this not be called the madness of all the arrogance? After all, which Tianzhou is not determined to stand at the top of the mage, and wants to become the legendary god mage? Everyone will rest in the hotel tonight. At noon tomorrow, we will officially enter the secret realm world to start the secret realm elimination competition. At that time, some rules about the elimination competition will be fully disclosed. In addition, it is also about this journey, but it is about rewards. There are many opportunities in the world of secret realms, which are the rewards for you to break into the top 900. And if you stand out from the elimination and enter the top 30, then you will be in the top 30. 30 contestants will each receive a Saint Yuan stone as a reward. The rewards for the 2nd to 10th are still under discussion. As for the reward for the first place, it has already been decided. You can enter the Magic Emperor's treasury of the Kyushu Empire to read the magic books, and you can choose any 3 of them to print a rubbing. Let's go. In addition, His Majesty will also take out a Magic Noble Phantasm as the reward for the first place in this elite competition. Wow, the scene shook again. Magic treasure. This is an equipment weapon that is far above advanced magic equipment. Any magic treasure has great power, and often only holy mages are qualified to possess it. The key is, The method of making magic treasures has long been lost, and there are only a few surviving ones today. A magic treasure can bring a huge bonus to the combat power of the holy mage, and now it is used as a reward. All the arrogances were extremely shocked, feeling unbelievable at the decision of Emperor Qianyuan of the Kyushu Empire. Su Shin was also shocked. He was stunned. There is such a charming woman in the world. His gaze passed through Xia Hongming and landed on a certain position behind him. Sitting in this position is a woman wearing a black mage robe, with a black lace eye patch covering the upper half of her face. But even if he covered his face, he couldn't hide his astonishing face. Su Shin has seen many beautiful women. But this one is quite different. She just sat there indifferently, her unique aura uncontrollably exuded, and all kinds of completely different types suddenly appeared in Su Shin's mind. As light as a frightened bird, graceful as a dragon swimming. Pure and cute, want to refuse to give up. Mature and charming, full of style. Be flirtatious and debauched, and spoil all living beings. This woman seems to contain all the beauty in the world, and can satisfy the deepest desire of men for the opposite gender. No matter what type you like, you can find your own one, or multiple styles on her. Where are someone's eyes looking? Shui Lianhua saw that Su Shin froze in place all of a sudden, followed her gaze, and suddenly became sour. The water lotus flower is also rare and stunning, but compared with that blindfolded woman, it looks extremely ordinary. Su Shin did not respond. Shui Lianhua was very energetic, but she soon found that not only Su Shin, but also Hua Yuke was attracted by the blindfolded woman. She looked back and saw that all the arrogant mages on her side, whether male or female, they would involuntarily shift their eyes from Xia Hongming to the blindfolded woman. You must know that these are mage geniuses from all over the world. If those eyes are not soaring to the sky, how can there be a shortage of beautiful women around them? But such a group of talented people, including Su Shin, were all attracted by the blindfolded woman. The blindfolded woman Yan Shii got up slightly at this moment. Most of the eyes of the 900 arrogances were focused on her. She was so charming that she couldn't hide it at all. In this way, he left the table first under the regretful eyes of all the arrogants. She must be Yan Shii from the demon god sect. As expected, she can turn people into licking dogs with just one look. I have already thought of the name of the child. Hua Yuke looked back, 2.5 said in a joking way. Yan Shii, hiss. Su Shin was startled suddenly. He remembered Irena once said, Sister Shii, could it be this woman? She also has another nickname, called Lust Witch. At this moment, another master Tianzhao, who was sitting not far away, interjected. Although there is the word, lust, it does not make people feel obscene. Looking at Yan Shii, it is as if appreciating a beautiful thing in the world. Then do you know the witch Irena? Su Shin asked the Tianzhao mage who interjected. He was from the southeast region, and he seemed to be a native of Kyushu. I've never heard of this witch. You should be Su Shin. It's better to be famous than to meet. I'm Yu Zilin. The other party shook his head, and then took advantage of the opportunity to chat with Su Shin. While chatting, Yu Zilin moved his chair and sat over. There is no shortage of geniuses who like to gossip. As soon as he came, he opened the topic and said, who do you think will win the first place in this elite competition? Su Shin. Haha, I didn't expect Su Shin to be more humorous than I imagined. Yu Zilin laughed, thinking that Su Shin was joking. Although the internet has blown Su Shin into the sky, what is the number one talent in Kyushu or even the number one talent in the world in this era, etc. But in the eyes of mages, the 6th and 7th ranks are huge natural moats that cannot be crossed. If Su Shin is up against ordinary 7th rank mages, some people will think that Su Shin's heaven-defying talent may really be able to make up for the gap. But in the face of the 7th level mage who is also the pride of heaven, how can Su Shin win with the strength of a 6th level mage? I am afraid that he will be beaten like a dog. Maybe brother you give us an introduction. Hua Yuke followed Yu Shilin's words. In my mind, there are indeed a few candidates who are likely to become the number one candidate. The first one is Zhao Tu from the Zhao family of the Imperial Capital's Mage family. He used to be the chief student of Imperial Capital University, and this year he caught up with him at the age of 25. This elite competition. I've heard of Zhao Tu. I heard that he also masters sword magic. After Hua Yuke finished speaking, he took a look at Su Shin. Sword magic has extremely high requirements on the spiritual power of the mage, and it is recognized as the most powerful combat power in the same level. This kind of genius is not only good at sword magic. The second one is Hong Yang, the son of the Sun Temple of the Elemental Temple. He has mastered 5 kinds of elemental magic, 1 year younger than Zhao Tu, but he is a 7th rank high-ranking mage. The Temple of Elements and the Temple of the Sun correspond to the fire element, but the son of the Temple of the Sun is not only good at fire magic. When it comes to the Temple of Elements, Wayuk naturally has the right to speak. He is indeed very strong. The third one is the Lust Witch just now, but she is quite mysterious, and I don't know the details. I only know that she should also be a 7th level high-ranking mage. In this elite competition, there are a total of 60 known 7th level mages, and only 8 of them are 7th level upper level mages. Maybe someone hides their strength and prepares to make a blockbuster, but it probably won't exceed the number of hands. When Yu Shuilin talked about enjoying himself, his eyebrows were beaming, but he was very eloquent, like listening to a book, which made people enjoy listening to it. I mentioned 3 high-ranking mages of the 7th rank, and the remaining 5 are the Holy Maiden, Millicent, from the Holy Court Empire, Push, from the Giant Bear Empire, and Rost, from the White Eagle Empire. Kyushu Empire, Wu Zhen, in northern Xinjiang, Kamio Kuga, in Island Country. There must be more than 8 7th level mages aged 25 and under all over the world. There are also some who are not interested in the elite competition and did not come. But in general, to determine the first place, it is still among these 8 people. After all, every small gap between high-level mages is huge. Yu Shuilin said. He also took out a tablet and showed Su Xin and Wayuk the information about the 8 people he said. The above information is only some simple introductions, what high-level magic you have mastered and what cards you have, but there is nothing on it. Next, let me talk about some 7th order medians. Seeing that Su Xin and Wayuk were listening with great interest, Yu Shuilin looked like he was still full of ideas. Su Xin and Wayuk looked at each other and nodded with smiles. The guy was excited about what he said, and they were very happy to hear it. But at this time, Xia Hongming, who had finished speaking, came to Su Xin with a glass of wine. Su Xin, this is the first time I met you. I wish you a lot of success in the secret knockout round. The piece of the secret world that Grandpa Huang took out is relatively complete. Su Xin got up quickly, picked up the wine glass, and replied with a smile. Thank you for your kind words, Your Highness. Su Xin will definitely go all out. Well, let's chat more with your peers. Xia Hongming ordered as soon as possible, and left the hotel lobby after a glass of wine. He only toasted Su Xin in front of hundreds of Mage Tianzhao, and the cards given to Su Xin were already very exaggerated. Tisk, an 18-year-old 6th level mage. I didn't expect it to appear in this generation. Su Xin, the elite competition is just a formality for you. Today you must be a great success. Yu Shuilin sighed. He is only a 6th level master, and he sincerely admires Su Xin for stepping into the ranks of 6th level mages at the age of 18. This guy is quite open, and Su Xin thinks he can really chat with him. Boom, boom. At this time, suddenly there was a sound on a wine table somewhere. What? No fun, no fun. I saw a young man with squinting eyebrows throwing his wine glass on the ground with a rebellious expression. The people ignored him. This person looks very unfamiliar. Although he has an oriental face, he is obviously not the Tianzhao mage of the Kyushu Empire. But surprisingly, after the unruly young man left his seat, he strode towards Su Wei's table. It is estimated that you are too popular, and some people are not happy. Wayuk restrained the smile on his face, and whispered a reminder to the normal-looking Su Xin. Su Xin, right, meet me, my name is Tu Xuan. Tu Xuan walked up to Su Xin, grinning and stretched out his hand. The hotel lobby suddenly became a little quieter. Many Tianzhao sorcerers cast their gazes in this direction. It's impossible for Su Xin not to be noticeable, but it's just that the mage thinks he's not weaker than others, and he doesn't want to lower his figure to flirt with Su Xin. Su Xin is the same, he is too lazy to take the initiative to chat with other Tianzhao mages. However, now that someone is actively looking for Su Xin, it seems that it is not a friendly exchange, so naturally one by one is interested. No one denies that Su Xin became a 6th level mage at the age of 18, this is a fact. But it doesn't mean that this point alone is enough to make other Tianzhao subdue Su Xin. Su Xin. Su Xin reached out and held Tu Xuan's hand together. Tu Zunhu's expression turned grim, and a sonic boom suddenly exploded between the two of them. In an instant, Tu Xuan's complexion changed, and then his entire right arm turned into a pitch-black tentacle, and the front part of the tentacle suddenly opened its sharp teeth full of fangs, but it didn't attack Su Xin, it was just chewing. "Your poison, so delicious." Tu Xuan added his lips and his eyes were extremely provocative. When everyone thought that the two of them might have a conflict, this picture Xuan's lips twitched, as if he had said something to Su Xin's magic sound transmission, and then turned around and left. What he said was, "Next time, eat your body." Su Xin's expression has not changed from the beginning to the end. He was a little surprised that this far-named Tume was immune to his Thunder Dragon Slayer magic. But it's nothing, after all. Su Xin only used 10,000 mana to make poison just now. If he used a poison made with over 1,000,000 mana to poison the other party would probably die at the speed of light. Let's continue. Su Xin spoke to Yu Zilin, and motioned him to talk about the 7th-rank median mage among Tianzhao in the way of storytelling. Yu Zilin looked at Tu Xuan, who left the hotel lobby with some doubts. He felt that this person's mind was a little abnormal. From a normal person's point of view, Su Xin's talent is here. Even if he doesn't deliberately make friends with him, there is no need to deliberately offend him. We chatted until about 12 o'clock in the evening, and the Tianzhao in the hotel lobby gradually dispersed. Because the final day for the first place will be held on the same day as the Kyushu Empire 1500th National Celebration Ceremony, so the time is relatively fast, and we will rush to the secret world tomorrow. With Su Xin's current mental strength, he doesn't need to sleep at all. As long as he feels sleepy and meditates a little, he will immediately feel refreshed. So he lay on the big soft bed in the hotel, looked at the ceiling, and his mind wandered. He was a little surprised that there was no knock on the door after waiting for a long time. It stands to reason, although no one thinks that Su Xin can win the first place in this elite competition, at least his talent against the sky has been shown. How could there be no powerful forces from the imperial capital to contact him secretly? He has a bit of a cheap mentality. Although he didn't plan to join any party, he felt uncomfortable if others didn't come to contact him. Of course, such thoughts soon disappeared. Su Xin began to take out the magic book from Irina's white jade pendant, and took time to study the high-level magic on it. Even with the super high elemental affinity bonus of Dragon Slayer magic, the difficulty of high-level magic is there. If it is not directly swallowing magic, Su Xin can't take a look at the usual routine and try it. You can master it in one click. The high-level magic he is learning now is the 7th-level magic of the Thunder system, Thunder Punishment. To be frank, Su Xin does not rely on high-level magic, but if he masters more high-level magic, then he can create new high-level magic moves formulas based on his own dragon-slaying magic, so the process of learning high-level magic cannot be surpassed. No words all night. The next morning, the hotel handed Su Xin a note during service. What was written on the note was obviously a code, and the content was 4 words, "Heaven is within reach." Su Xin looked confused. This is Zhan Tianxing's fault. The principal of Mediterranean Sea contacted King Mu privately, saying that as long as he told Su Xin the password, Su Xin would take the initiative to contact King Mu. For a while, another 2 hotel service staff sent the same note, all of which were also coded, but it was different from Tianxing KK. It can be seen from this that Zhan Tianxing has connections with 3 big figures in the imperial capital, and through Su Xin, he has benefited from these 3 big figures. Is he really confused by Su Xin, thinking that the big forces in the imperial capital are all old riddlers? Angrily, he tore up the code note. After the morning episode, the Tianzhao returned to the hotel lobby and finished their lunch lively. Immediately afterwards, Xia Hongming appeared again. This time he will take these arrogances to the entrance of the secret world. To everyone's surprise, the entrance to the secret world is not in that special location, it is in the forbidden area behind the palace. Usually, even the children of the royal family need permission to enter the forbidden area behind the palace. Now this royal forbidden area is open to the gates of Tianzhao from all over the world, and people can't help but feel the courage of Emperor Qianyuan, the current emperor of the Kyushu Empire. It is not only the 900 arrogances who are eligible to enter the secret world, but also some powerful people from other countries, in order to ensure fairness and justice. Kyushu Empire side. Sha Hongming will be the general person in charge of the Secret Realm knockout competition, and except for the Imperial Capital, each of the other 8 competition areas will have an 8th level or 9th level Transcendent Master enter the secret world. High-ranking Mage, the teaching director of Tianan University, Jing Shuai. The rest of the 3 major empires, island countries and other countries that are not weak in national strength, all sent to escort the domestic arrogance or 9th level Transcendent Masters. At this moment, at the entrance to the secret world, the door of space visible to the naked eye is wide open. "Gentlemen, please," quote. Sha Hongming was full of smiles, and made a gesture of invitation to the crowd behind him, and then stepped into it. Under the leadership of their elders, the Tianzhao stepped into the gate of space one after another. When traveling through space, there will be a sense of upside down, but this feeling only lasts for a moment. Come to my senses. Everyone only found themselves at the foot of a high mountain. There are many thatched huts at the foot of the mountain, obviously built temporarily, and each hut has a name on the door. "Gentlemen, the rules for the knockout round of the secret realm are now announced." Sha Hongming saw that everyone was here, so she spoke again. "First of all, the purpose of the elite competition is to learn from each other. You are all arrogant figures, and they are rare treasures for our human mages. Therefore, we don't like the deaths of you in the course of the battle, so we will give you every people issue a special, empty element talisman. If you are in danger of death, crush the empty element talisman and you will be teleported away from this secret world in an instant. Of course, using the empty element talisman means disqualification for this competition. Secondly, there is no group arena in the secret realm knockout competition, and a point system is adopted. This mountain is called Washan Mountain, and there are 5 places where points can be obtained, namely, the Ladder of Spiritual Consciousness, the Magic Tower, the Battle Formation, the Magic Deduction Platform, and the Heart Asking Door. After half a month, the top 30 players in total points will be able to enter the ring finals. Sha Hongming introduced them one by one again, and everyone knew what the 5-point points meant. The Ladder of Spiritual Consciousness is to test the strength of the mage's spiritual power. There are 100 steps in total, and there will be points rewarded for each step. The Magic Tower, that is where the magic breaks through. The higher the magic attainment, the farther you can go in the Magic Tower, and you can get more points. The Combat Force Array is a special magic array, in which opponents can be transformed, the number can be freely selected, and points can be obtained by defeating opponents. The Magic Deduction Platform, this is the place to test the understanding of magic. Take out incomplete magic formulas for you to deduce. If the deduction is successful or the deduction reaches a certain level, you will get corresponding points. Asking the Heart Door, a special magic circle that tests the will. Entering this magic circle will cause illusions frequently, and corresponding points will be given according to the length of time you persist. After Su Xin listened, her expression changed slightly. He did not expect that this secret realm knockout match would be so ingenious, with separate stages for strength, talent, understanding, and will. But Sha Hongming spoke out again, causing the attention of the Tianzhao to return to him again. However, qualifications are required to enter these 5 places where points are earned. For example, the qualification to pass through the Ladder of Spiritual Consciousness requires a Jingyuan Stone, once, and this Jingyuan Stone is located in the southeast of the secret world. There is a secret realm, Nuo Li Jiao, monster that is not weak. Elemental spars are needed to break through the Magic Tower. Elemental spars are distributed all over the world of secret realms, but there are often secret realm monsters active around them. A specific token is required to open the battle formation, and this token is also in. The implication is that obtaining points is not just about breaking through the barriers, but also needs to get the qualifications for breaking through the barriers. No wonder the empty Yuan talisman was issued in advance. This is to prevent conflicts between the contestants in a life and death battle. If you have any objections to the knockout rules, you can raise it with me now. After Sha Hongming finished explaining, he looked at the group of Tianzhao in front of him. It's very interesting, I like it very much. That's enough. As expected of the first Global Mage Elite competition, it's exciting. How can the Tianzhao have any objections? Not only has life protection, but also has great challenges. Isn't this completely echoing the pursuit of Tianzhao? There is definitely no problem with this kind of point elimination mechanism, and the one who stands out in the end is definitely the undoubted true level. And for other Tianzhao who have no hope of squeezing into the top 30, the 5 points where they can get points are all opportunities. The ladder of spiritual consciousness can exercise one's spiritual power, the door of questioning one's heart can temper one's own consciousness, the combat power array can clarify one's combat power level, and the magic tower can also deepen one's understanding of magic. Not bad, but this life-saving mechanism is a bit redundant. Among the Tianzhao crowd, Tu Xuan's unruly voice sounded. He threw the Kong Yuan talisman. He just took over in front of everyone and said with a sneer. A guy who is really confident in his own strength doesn't need this kind of thing. This Tu Xuan's identity is the arrogance of the small country of Annan in the east. This time, there are 3 people from the small country of Annan. Tu Xuan is one of the 2 lower ranks. The elder in Annan Xiaoguo is also a 9th level transcendent master. Regarding the arrogant behavior of his own Tianzhao, he didn't say anything to reprimand him, and he looked on the sidelines with cold eyes. No one paid any attention to Tu Xuan, but someone raised questions afterwards. Elemental spars can enter the magic tower, so can the elemental spars they bring be used? Xia Hongming's answer is no, because the element spar in the secret world is quite special. After all, is a small world created by the legendary magician. Then, I now announce the official start of the secret knockout round. Everyone needs to pay attention. Within the scope of this mountain, it is forbidden for contestants to fight each other. With Xia Hongming's announcement, the knockout stage began. He deliberately reminded that fighting is not allowed at the current location, which is tantamount to reminding other places that fighting is allowed, and robbing others of the qualification to break through the level. Su Xin, do you want to form a team? Hua Yuk walked over with a smile. He is the 7th rank, and he definitely doesn't have much expectations if he wants to compete for the top 30, so he doesn't plan to collect points, but prepares to improve himself with the help of the 5 checkpoints. In this way, naturally there is not much conflict of interest between Su Xin, and the knockout match did not indicate that they are not prepared to form a team. Thank you Brother Hua for your kindness, but I'm still used to acting alone. Su Xin declined. Since he wanted to participate in the competition, he naturally wanted to take the first place, otherwise his inner frivolous character would definitely make no sense. After all, Su Xin left first. What are you going to do? On the side of Annan Xiaoguo, Yao Xie, who is also a genius 7th rank mage, saw that Tu Xuan was going to follow Su Xin, so he couldn't help asking with a frown. Hey, I'm so curious about this Su Xin, I can't help but try his details. Tu Xuan didn't hide it at all, and opened his mouth in front of the crowd. Pay attention to proportion. Yao Xie nodded and waved at him. Seeing this, the rest of Tianzhao did not take any action. Actually, most of these Tianzhao are Su Xin. The fact that Su Xin was able to step into the 6th level mage at the age of 18 felt emotion and some admiration, but he was a little unconvinced while admiring. Proud. It is normal to take it. But these Tianzhao will not provoke Su Xin for no reason like Tu Xuan, nor will they deliberately try to befriend Su Xin. Being a passerby is most of the psychology. A 7th level mage has passed, will he be fine? Do you want me to help? On the Tianan province side, the former chief disciple, Ming Wei, asked Tianan Gong's registered disciple Mu Tongqing. After all, they are both Tianan provinces and juniors, so it's normal for them to take care of them. No. His road is too smooth, and it may not be a bad thing for him to leave this elite competition early after some setbacks. Mu Tongqing shook his head. Listen to you. Ming Wei nodded and said no more. The Chen Yi, from the Chen family snorted. His brother Chen Chengfeng had lost contact long ago, needless to say he was definitely dead, and when Su Xin showed his strength, the Chen family concluded that Chen Chengfeng died at the hands of Su Xin. However, the Chen family did not decide to take revenge on Su Xin, but they were going to turn a blind eye to this matter, and wanted to keep their relationship with Su Xin from now on. BBAA, but they have already committed a crime. Su Xin is not a big-hearted person, and the list of the Chen family has long been in the little book in his heart. Soon after Su Xin left first, a group of Tianzhao began to disperse separately, some formed a team of 2 or 3, and some traveled alone. In the blink of an eye, at the foot of the mountain, only Xia Hongming and a group of elder mages were left. These high-ranking mages from all over the world started chatting on the spot. As for the emperor's grandson Xia Hongming, he stood where he was, with some thoughts on his face. He was hesitating whether to let the Tianzhao under his command help Su Xin. After all, there are quite a few Tianzhao who have been trained by him, and some of them have successfully become one of the 900 people. However, when he thought about it carefully, Su Xin had his own confidence in daring to act alone. If he interfered rashly, it might touch the other party's self-esteem and make him feel bad about himself. In his eyes, a peerless talent like Su Xin must be treated with care and respect, and it is best to be the kind of friend who forgets the years. Thinking of this, Xia Hongming gave up the idea of sending Tianzhao under his command to support Su Xin. As for this secret world, as long as Su Xin is willing to accept his solicitation, he can easily enter in the future. There is no sun and moon in the secret world, but there is plenty of light. Su Xin was in this artificially opened small world, and couldn't help feeling the power of the divine mage. After all, this is not equivalent to the space in the space ring, this is a special space that can accommodate living beings. Several hours later, Su Xin stopped in a dense forest, turned around and looked behind. Oh, you are indeed the #1 pride in Kyushu. You deliberately brought me here to fight alone with me. Tu Xuan showed up. His tone was a bit yin and yang, and he didn't want to be beaten. What do you want to do with labor? Su Xin looked at Tu Xuan with a smile on his face, but his eyes were cold. I'm a little curious about you. If you're really the kind of genius with high talent and understanding, it's fine. After all, it's not unprecedented to step into the 6th level at the age of 18. But others don't know, but you can't hide it from me, I know all. Your specialness does not lie in any talent or understanding, but in your body. Your body doesn't look like a human body at all, a peerless genius born in an ordinary family. Who would believe it? I'm curious, what is your real face like? Tu Xuan's eyes were slightly scarlet. Zhuangji used the crappy aggressive method, and said, if you want to use the Kongyuan talisman, now is the time, otherwise you will never have a chance to use it when I make a move. My true face. Su Xin chuckled, and then his face suddenly turned ferocious. The real face of Laozi is your father. Tu Xuan was suddenly furious. I'm going to cut off your tongue as a side dish. He suddenly roared, and immediately the whole person rushed towards Su Xin like crazy. This picture Xuan's combat type is actually close combat. Sword magic 10 swords piercing the heart. Su Xin frowned, pointed his right hand lightly at the opponent, and saw 10 beams of golden light quickly emerge from the ground under his feet, and the 10 golden longswords were as majestic as a potential dragon coming out of an abyss. The shuttle gallops. The speed is so fast that it is difficult for the naked eye to distinguish. Puff, puff, but in a moment of face-to-face effort, 10 golden long swords pierced Tu Xuan's heart in unison, nailing him to the ground. Ha ha, as I expected, your real combat power is already comparable to that of a 7th-tier mage. But to Su Xin's surprise, under such a fatal injury, Tu Xuan showed no signs of weakening, but appeared more lively. How could Su Xin not be surprised? Even with his current physical strength, although he wouldn't die instantly if his heart was pierced, it was definitely an extremely serious overweight injury. In an instant, Su Xin thought about it, but found that he couldn't retrieve the golden long sword. He fixed his eyes and suddenly found that Tu Xuan's pierced heart was wriggling with flesh and blood. He melted all his 10 golden long swords into the flesh and blood, breaking Su Xin's sword magic in such an unimaginable way. Die! Tu Xuan let out a yell, with a hideous expression on his face. He used both feet, his body was like a gust of wind, and he rushed straight at Su Xin with the momentum of wind and clouds, and he was close to him in the blink of an eye. Swish! After getting close, Tu Xuan stretched out his right hand, bent his palm into a claw, and grabbed Su Xin's shoulder directly. Su Xin snorted softly, clenched his right fist, and directly punched Tu Xuan's head. Bang! Bang bang bang! Before his fist hit, he saw deafening continuous sonic booms coming from midair, and the terrifying shock waves rippling from his fist in midair were constantly spreading around. Snapped! Smash! Tu Xuan took the initiative to get close. How could he react to Su Xin's supersonic punch? He was directly hit in the head, and red and white were blown up all over the sky in an instant, and the pungent stench filled the air. What? Su Xin was startled suddenly, and saw that Tu Xuan's right hand on Su Shen's right shoulder had turned into a pitch-black tentacle of flesh and blood. At the same time, "Don't beat Tu Xuan's head off," but at this moment, his voice suddenly rang in Su Shen's ear. Abyssal magic devouring touch. Gurgling, looking at it again, the pitch-black tentacle surged like a water pipe, and Su Shen's complexion changed drastically. This tentacle, it is absorbing his magic power at an unbelievable speed. The speed was far faster than Su Shen's recovery speed. In just 1 minute, Su Shen already felt a sense of weakness attacking him. As soon as he grabbed the pitch-black tentacles on his shoulders, he was about to tear them apart. And at this time, for Tu Xuan, whose head was smashed, the shells and flesh of the head flying around automatically flew back to Tu Xuan's neck, and the reorganization was completed at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's useless. Tu Xuan watched Su Shen try to tear off the devouring touch, and the grin on his face became more vigorous. My devouring touch is not just a simple abyss magic, but the one who gave me the power. The moment you are caught by the devouring touch, the ending has already been decided, and you will be sucked dry by me. As predicted, the moment Su Shen grasped the devouring touch with his left hand, the devouring touch split again, forming several devouring touches at once to wrap around Su Shen's left hand, despite Su Shen's divine power. But there is a posture of being restrained. Aren't you human? The more critical the moment, Su Shen became calmer, and the blood in his body boiled even more. To some extent, Su Shen is really a pervert. The more the stimulation of death, the more it can stimulate Su Shen's crazy nature. Ha ha ha, isn't it the same for you? Do human beings have such a powerful body as you? Just this moment of devouring effort, you have greatly increased my strength. If you completely devoured me, I might break through directly to the 8th level in one go. Also, if I show hostility to you so bluntly, don't you really think I'm jealous of you? I want to eat you, Su Shen. Abyssal magic array of decay. While Tu Xuan was laughing wildly, he was still extremely vigilant. To be on the safe side, he directly cast the abyss magic again. In an instant, then he saw a pitch-black magic circle rise up around Su Shen, and the abyssal magic power that Su Shen had never seen poured into his body from all directions, causing the latter to bear a kind of aura called weakness, all of a sudden. At the beginning of the play, there is no 1 out of 10. It doesn't matter if you're a genius or a monster, just obediently become my nourishment. Tu Xuan immediately stretched out his left hand, and his left arm turned into a swallowing touch again. The swallowing touch flew towards Su Shen, and suddenly split into dozens of pieces, submerging Su Shen all at once. Gurgling. Then, a creepy sucking sound came from many devouring touches. Just when Tu Xuan was already at the end of Su Shen's corner, he saw a cluster of brilliant flames igniting blazingly from the many devouring touches. Immediately afterwards, like a spirit, the flame turned into a torrent of flame and escaped from the pincer attack of the engulfing touch. Talent. Elementalization. Tu Xuan's touch of devouring restrains the body very seriously, but it doesn't restrain the magic itself much. After Su Shen realized this, he decisively made the body elemental. What kind of magic is this? Tu Xuan paled in shock. It was the first time he saw that the touch of devouring would fail. The touch of devouring is the power magic of the abyss. Even if it has a high-level defensive magic protection, it will be ignored by it. Its resistance to magic is extremely high, so high that it is unimaginable for others. Although his devouring touch is not complete, it shouldn't be something that a 7th level mage can break free from. I'm curious, what is abyss magic? I haven't heard of this kind of magic yet. The torrent of flames slowly condensed into Su Shen's original appearance. The latter was still not in a hurry, and looked at Tu Xuan coldly, asking questions. It seems that I still underestimate you. Tu Xuan didn't answer the question. He pulled open his upper body shirt, but saw a single scarlet eye was inlaid on the left chest, and at this moment, the single scarlet eye was slowly opening its eyes. It's over. Abyssal magic eye of horror. Swish. The expression on Tu Xuan's face froze suddenly. He felt that a light flashed in front of him suddenly, and then he felt a pain in his left chest. He turned his head suddenly, only to realize that he came behind him from the front at some time, and he was pinching his fingers between his 2 fingers. Looking at the scarlet one eye. Tu Xuan's eyes widened suddenly. He had absorbed so much magic power from him, why could he still display such a speed that he couldn't react? Pacha. With a slight force of Su Shin's 2 fingers, she pinched the red one-eyed eye until it shattered. You're wrong about one thing. My real strength is not comparable to that of a 7th order mage. Su Shin raised his head slightly, looking at the stunned Tu Xuan. It's invincible to the ranks of 7th order mages. Boom. Su Shin punched out, and his right arm turned into a cluster of thunder in an instant. The thunder roared and blasted his ears, and in a blink of an eye, he turned into a thunder dragon with a body length of tens of meters and roared ferociously. Boom. The thunder dragon rushed towards Tu Xuan with lightning speed, and even shattered his whole body into pieces of meat, splashing in all directions. This Tu Xuan relied on his own abyss magic, but his body defense was pitifully weak. He didn't even use defensive magic. However, the reason why Tu Xuan's body defense is weak is because of his strong regenerative ability. This guy can no longer be called a human being. The minced meat splashed all around seemed to be consciously reunited one by one, and the flesh and blood reorganized again under Su Shin's nose. But once, what was reassembled from flesh and blood was not a human figure, but a big meatball with a huge scarlet one-eyed eye, and several pitch-black tentacles extending from the surface. I didn't expect you to be able to force out my true form. I want to praise you. You are indeed a peerless genius, far superior to other people. But a genius is a genius after all. You will have another chance to grow. Quote. Die. Abyss Magic Dark Realm. The meatball monster let out a deafening roar, its aura exploded, and a dark field wrapped Su Shin in an instant. For a moment, Su Shin only felt that he was trapped in the boundless darkness, and all senses were cut off. Shish. In the darkness, the sound of the black tentacles attacking was extremely ear-piercing, but Su Shin didn't hear it at all. Su Shin slowly closed his eyes, and at the same time, his whole body began to elementalize again. At this time, Su Shin couldn't completely transform into a dragon, because he had never killed a real dragon. However, it can condense its own magic power into the dragon form through elementalization. Boom. Under the transformation of magic power, the magic power of the undead is greatly increased, and a 100-meter giant dragon with a dark blue body rises up. The dark dragon spreads blue wings on its back, and suddenly opens its ferocious mouth. The magic power of the undead is crazily brewing in the mouth. Dragon Slayer Mystery, the trial of the underworld dragon. Roar. What is this? Is his body a dragon? What kind of dragon is this? The huge scarlet eyes of the meatball monster suddenly revealed a terrified expression. Boom. Like a gust of wind, the meatball monster watched helplessly as the 100-meter giant dragon sprayed out a beam of blue cannons and shot at itself, but he didn't feel any damage. Vitality. My life force. Ah. But soon, the meatball monster reacted. Su Shin's move didn't cause any physical damage at all, it directly deprived him of his vitality. Not just meatball monsters. Even this dense forest was lush and green just now, but in an instant it was deserted and lonely. All the vegetation withered and rotted in an instant, leaving only the palpitating magic power of the dead. Boom. The 100-meter dragon turned into Su Shin's body again, scored twice, and once again punched the meatball monster. But this time, the exploded flesh was like jerky, and there was no possibility of reorganization. Talent. Soul Drain. Tu Xuan is indeed very special. Once Su Shin kills a mage or a monster, his soul will still temporarily exist in his body, but Tu Xuan's soul actually left his body on his own initiative. But his doing so made Su Shin more convenient and accessible. No, Tu Xuan's soul was begging silently, but it gradually disappeared. Absorbing the soul of a 7th-level mage, and an extremely special guy, made Su Shin's spiritual power skyrocket by more than 5,000 at a time. Disgusting guy. Su Shin glanced at the dried meat on the ground, and with a flick of his hand, it was directly burned to ashes. A corner of the secret world. Yao Xie, who had spoken to Tu Xuan before, froze suddenly, his expression changed slightly. Died, he groaned, with an extremely surprised expression on his face. But he quickly returned to normal and went on with his own business without seeing any anger. 10 hours later, Su Shin continued to set off. There are still some elemental crystals presented by Tian Nangong, and Su Shin will naturally have to digest the spiritual power improvement. 5,000 spiritual power means that Su Shin can increase the testo value by 50,000, the mana value and the defense value by about 100,000. Of course, because of the conversion efficiency, it is currently impossible to directly increase the value of 50,000 within 10 hours, but there is still 15,000. With the increase in strength, the efficiency of Su Shin's conversion of magic power into panel values will also increase. In addition, the reason why he stayed where he was because he still had the intention of fishing, waiting for Tu Xuan's companion to come and die. Unfortunately, did not wait. In the battle between Su Shin and Tu Xuan, it seems that Su Shin used many means to kill each other, but in fact he did not use much strength at all. There is another surprise, that is the experience value of adaptive force. I don't know what the structure of Tu Xuan is. Killing him will increase his self-adaptive force by 30,000 experience points in one breath, which is a bit exaggerated. The last point. That is, there is nothing hanging in Tu Xuan's interspatial ring, so Su Shin couldn't help cursing that it's a poor thing. The place Su Shin is about to go to is the token of the combat power formation. He is extremely interested in the combat power formation, and wants to use it to see where the limit of his combat power is. There is no day and night in the secret world, and the day is eternal. In a wasteland, a big battle is going on one-sidedly. One side is the Tianjiao mage of the island country, and there are 4 people. The other party is an acquaintance of Su Shin, who is short of flowers, plus an unfamiliar water lotus array. On the other side of the island country, there are 2 7th-rank low-ranking mages and 2 6th-rank high-ranking mages. The power of the 2 sides is not balanced. Not long after the confrontation, if there is a lack of flowers, there will be a tendency to lose. If he was facing a low-level 7th-rank mage, Wayuk would naturally not hesitate, but being besieged by 2 7th-rank mages, he certainly had more than enough energy. Lianhua, use Kong. In the end, Wayuk had no choice but to make a decision. The moment her defensive magic was broken, she crushed the Kongyuan talisman and was sent out of the secret world. Seeing this, Shui Lianhua glanced at the Kongyuan talisman in her hand, and was about to crush it helplessly. Su Shin. But when she was about to crush it, she found a figure appeared behind the 4 sorcerers at some point. Su Shin. When she yelled, the 4 island nations' arrogances immediately stared angrily. Idiot. The 7th-rank low-ranking mage, Ishi Shang, looked back and saw that it was really Su Shin, and immediately cursed. Another 7th-level low-ranking mage, Baikan Qianjing, looked as angry and unforgivable as the other 2 6th-level high-ranking mages. The Tianjiao of the island country does not have the slightest affection for Su Shin. After all, Su Shin didn't kill anyone, but killed Jiro Yamada, a 6th-order mage from an island country. In the eyes of these little devils, it was an act of provoking their island country. Shui Lianhua realized that she had unintentionally diverted the water to the east, and she couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. She couldn't turn her face away for a while. Instead of crushing the Kongyuan talisman, she ran to Su Shin's side. Chapter 71. I just saw a figure disappear suddenly. Could it be Brother Hua who disappeared? Su Shin glanced at the big-breasted girl Shui Lianhua, and asked a question. Well, Senior Brother Hua obtained a token to enter the combat power formation to break through the barrier, but when discovered by these island nations' arrogance, they wanted to snatch it with more victories and less. Among them are 2 7th-level mages, and Senior Brother Hua is one of them. Powerless to deal with it, I had to be forced to crush the Kongyuan talisman. Shui Lianhua hummed lightly, her complexion a bit ugly. The Temple of the Elements is not weak, but basically the 9 halls of the Temple of the Elements are all independent, and they are rarely united. Otherwise, Wayuk and the 7th-level mages of other temples of the elements will definitely not end up in such a predicament. Su Shin pouted after hearing this. The world of the secret realm is not small, so if you happen to encounter it, it can only be regarded as Wayuk's bad luck. Su Shin, you blatantly killed Master Tianjiao of my island country in the arena, and you have not said a word until now. Do you really think that my island country is easy to bully? Ishi Shou raised his eyebrows. Seeing that Su Shin treated the 4 of them as a little transparent, it was as if gasoline had been poured on him, and the anger in his heart became more intense. Express. Do you want me to bow and apologize to you, or Doxiaza? This little devil. I almost laughed out loud. You. Seeing Su Shin's fearless expression, the 7th-rank mage Baikan Qianjing at the side gradually boiled with killing intent in his heart. Originally, I wanted to force Su Shin to bow his head and apologize under the situation. After all, the guarantee of Kong Yuan talisman to kill the other party is a bit unreasonable. But Su Shin has such an attitude. It really made these 4 island country geniuses burn with anger and murderous intent. Senior Ishii, Senior Baiken, this Su Shin is so arrogant, he doesn't take you too seriously. In my opinion, we will kill him together later, without giving him any chance to react. No, it's not very good, is it? After all, we are now in the Kyushu Empire. If someone finds out that Su Shin died at our hands, can we leave the Kyushu Empire alive? Of the other 2 Sixth Order mages, one agreed to kill Su Shin, while the other hesitated. The form suddenly became tense. Of course, only Shui Lianhua was nervous. Seeing the murderous intent brewing in the eyes of the people in front of her, she sent a voice transmission to Su Shin through magic, and reminded, Su Shin, they want to kill you. Stand back a little. Su Shin waved at her. Shui Lianhua opened her mouth, but wisely, she didn't say anything more. The one who is familiar with Su Shin is Hua Yuk, not her, Sui Lianhua. Su Shin treats her coldly, so she naturally can't say anything. You seem angry. After Shui Lianhua retreated, Su Shin looked at the 4 island country mages in front of him, and grinned with an insolent expression. Shoot together. Make him overwhelmed. If he wants to die, let him be fulfilled and avenge Yamada-kun. Shoot. Just as Su finished his words, the 4 island country mages suddenly acted in unison with a tacit understanding. Shoishi's hands clasped together, and the magic of the wind system cast a hurricane. Baiken Qianjing's face was furious, and he waved his staff in his hand, and the 7th Order Earth magic, Meteor Shi Tian descended. The other 2 6th-level high-ranking mages used their most powerful magic respectively. In an instant, it is no exaggeration to say that the whole world is in turmoil. The 2 7th Order mages used the magic power between heaven and earth together, and the oppressive feeling made the water lotus behind them suffocate. The iron fist of the fire dragon. Seeing this, Su Shin, with a bang, his right arm turned into flames, and with his punch, a red fire dragon with a length of tens of meters was born out of nowhere, bursting into full bloom ferociously in midair. Roar ah ah! The fire dragon was invincible, like a red horse in midair, looking invincible. One face-to-face wiped out all the magic of the other 4, and immediately slammed into Bu Jingxiang's body. The latter's defensive magic exploded like paper, and the lower half of his body evaporated instantly. This 7th-rank low-rank mage from an island country is even more of a genius level. He was directly paralyzed by a high-ranking punch from Su Shin. Ishii-kun. Baiken Qianjing let out an exclamation, and felt a sense of horror rushing from the tailbone straight up to the sky, and the anger that was just now was completely extinguished, and an unprecedented panic surrounded his heart. He is not the 6th Order. He's level 7. The other 2 6th-level high-ranking mages looked at Su Shin as if they had seen a ghost. These 2 mages, who could be called geniuses wherever they were placed, were so frightened that they couldn't help crying like children. Stand up. Quickly crush the empty element talisman. Ishii-kun's body is already cold. How can Baiken have the guts to fight Su Shin again? He didn't even want to run away, he just wanted to smash the Kong Yuan talisman to escape from this evildoer. It's too late. Su Shin laughed. The roar of the dragon slayer. He opened his mouth wide, and suddenly sent out a wide shock wave of terrifying magic power. This roar directly combines the 6 dragon-slaying roars of gold, earth, thunder, fire, poison, and darkness, and the magic power used is as high as 1 million. It may only take 0.1 second to crush the Kong Yuan talisman, but Su Shin only needs 0.01 second to evaporate the 3 people in front of him. Bang bang. The magic shock wave rushed past the 3 people in front of them in an almost teleportation manner, and the defensive magic around the 3 of them collapsed in an instant, and they were evaporated without a single cry. And that's not all. The shock wave was still ravaging the entire wasteland in an exaggerated way, the momentum was vigorous, and the scene was extremely terrifying. I do not know how long it has been. Su Shin's dragon-slaying roar gradually dissipated. Instead, there is a terrifying gully tens of thousands of meters long in front of you, the earth is scorched and scarred, and the magic power in this area seems to be almost exhausted. If you look carefully, you can even clearly see that the space of the secret world is trembling slightly, fluctuation. The body is evaporated, and even the soul is incomplete. 060, Su Shin absorbs the remnant souls left in the world through talent, soul absorption, which only increases the spiritual power by about 3,000. But there is no way. If he didn't use instant kills, Baiken Qianjing and the others would have a chance to escape right under his nose. Look at the water lotus again. She froze in place, her beautiful eyes seemed to lose focus, and she kept replaying Su Shin's roar in her mind. At the same time, she recalled the scene when Yu Zilin asked Su Shin and Hua Yuk not long ago who was most likely to win the first place, and Su Shin simply answered her. So, he's not pretending. Are you at the 7th level? After a long time, Shui Lianhua managed to look away from the terrifying ravine in front of her, looked at Su Shin who was looking for a space ring, and asked a question in a whisper. I'm 8th grade. While searching for the interspatial ring that might have been destroyed, Su Shin replied absent-mindedly. What? He's 8th level. This. The water lotus was shocked again. Now she has no doubts about Su Shin's words. After all, the terrifying roar just now is still vivid in her memory. 8th. How can there be an 18-year-old 8th level mage in the world? Have it. It seems that there is. Abnormal. Facts have proved that Su Shin's roar just now destroyed the space rings of the 4 island mages. This made Su Shin a little uncomfortable. The elemental crystals given by Tian Nangong are almost exhausted. If he doesn't replenish them, then Su Shin can only increase the panel value by about 2,400 a day. I'm an 8th level mage, don't tell anyone. Then, Su Shin turned around and looked at Shui Lianhua who was staring at him in a daze, and made a silent movement. I know, I promise I won't say anything. Shui Lianhua's expression immediately turned solemn, and her tone of voice resolutely assured her. Su Shin chuckled in his heart. This girl really believed his words. He is only at the 7th rank, and he is still far away from the 8th rank. Speaking of which, Su Shin stopped talking nonsense and turned around to leave. Seeing this, Shui Lianhua pursed her lips, but couldn't help but said, since you are so strong, can you take me with you? Seeing Su Shin look back at herself again, Shui Lianhua quickly explained. The elite competition really has nothing to do with me, but the 5 barriers can only be created by the royal family of the Kyushu Empire, which is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. So, can. Su Shin nodded. Really? Shui Lianhua was overjoyed. But first let me touch your breasts. You. Shui Lianhua's complexion suddenly became ashamed and angry. Now she can finally confirm that in the tomb, this guy deliberately underestimated her. Haha, I can't help being so funny. I mean, tell me, why did you ignore my calendar back then? Su Shin laughed. If the other party asked him to touch, then he would definitely not be polite. Since he didn't want to, then just pretend he didn't want to touch it. It's the defensive magic that my sister added to me. This defensive magic is quite special. It can absorb magic attacks to a certain extent. If it's purely physical attacks, then it can achieve the effect of being immune to physical attacks by completely unloading the force. Of course, there is also a limit to the physical attack you can withstand. If you exceed that limit, it will be useless. Who is your sister? Shui Lianyi, the master of the water temple. Su Shin nodded. Without further questions, Tian said, come with me. The reason why he agreed to bring Shui Lianhua was mainly because he had a short relationship with Hua, and he didn't really want to touch her. A day later, under the siege of several people, a 6th order secret realm monster finally fell down unwillingly. And in the heart of this 6th order secret realm monster, it is believed that there is a token inlaid. As expected of a secret world created by a magician, the 6th order monsters here are much stronger than ordinary ones. But it's a pity that there is only one token, and we have 5 people. What's the rush? The number of tokens is as many as thousands. As long as we continue to search, it's not a problem for 5 of us and 1 for each. The 5 6th level mages came from a small western country. There is no 7th order mage in their team. Among the 900 Tianzhou, the proportion of 7th level mages is still very small. As long as it is not too bad luck, it is really impossible to meet. Stay here, everyone, we have taken a fancy to the tokens in your hands. Just as the 5 6th tier genius mages were about to leave, a woman's figure suddenly came from behind them. The 5 turned their heads and saw that it was Water Lotus Flower. And the one next to the Water Lotus Flower is naturally Su. Su Shin, you want to grab our token? The 5 automatically ignored Shui Lianhua and looked at Su Shin nervously. Right on my mind, Shui Lianhua, who was acting as the microphone, suddenly sneered. 7th level fire magic, flame dance. Su Shin raised his right hand and directly cast high-level fire magic. High-level magic. Has Su Shin stepped into the 7th level? No, he didn't use the magic power between heaven and earth, but forcibly cast high-level magic at the level of a 6th level mage. Hiss. This Su Shin is really evil to the extreme. But there are only 2 of them, we have the advantage in numbers, what are we afraid of? After all, the 5 of them are also geniuses, how could they give up so easily, they must resist. But the resistance didn't last long. With the joint efforts of the 5 people, they still struggled to support under the explosive dance, and finally they took the initiative to admit defeat. Su Shin doesn't kill anyone he sees. The purpose of his shot was to snatch the tokens and space rings in their hands. The 5 people found 2 tokens in total. As for the element spar and magic potion in the space ring, Su Shin snatched them away, and only left some recovery potions for them. Continue. After the 5 left resentfully, Su Shin threw a token to Shui Lianhua, saw the other party's happy face, and then said something. Okay. Shui Lianhua was so happy, it was the first time she enjoyed this feeling of lying flat. Half a day later, Su Shin and Shui Lianhua found another talented mage team, but this team was led by a 7th rank low-ranking mage. There were 3 people in total, and the remaining 2 were 6th rank mages. They are somewhat related to Water Lotus, and they are geniuses of the Earth Temple in the Elemental Temple. Shui Lianhua, your sister is a 9th level Transcendent Master, but you are not. Are you worthy of robbing me? After Shui Lianhua announced the robbery in a high-profile manner, Shi Yu, the godson of the Earth God Temple, immediately became gloomy. Shui Lianhua remained silent and stood behind Su Shin silently. It seems that our one arrogant of Kyushu is very confident in his combat power. Shi Yu's eyes turned to Su Shin. Now who can't recognize Su Shin at a glance? From Shi Yu's point of view, Su Shin clearly wants to challenge the 7th Order Mage to clarify his level of combat power. He guessed that Su Shin was still vague about his current ultimate combat power, but he didn't use him for the test. In that case, let's do it. Seeing that Su Shin was silent, Shi Yu waved at Su Shin. Dragon Slayer Profound Truth, Cave Dragon's Earth Collapses. Su Shin didn't talk nonsense, and directly stepped on the ground heavily. Bang, boom. A few minutes later, Shi Yu looked like a ghost and left with his 2 pale companions who were frightened. How is he a match for Su Shin? The 7th level low-rank mage, even if he is a genius, has nothing special. In front of Su Shin, he is like a chicken and dog Qian Li Jiao. As long as Su Shin thinks, he can instantly kill the opponent. Shi Yu recognized this in the face of the absolute gap in strength, and decisively handed over the level breakthrough qualification and space ring collected in his hands. After all, he didn't want to leave the secret world so quickly. He actually had more than one interspatial ring, but handing over one already met Su Shin's expectations, and he didn't continue to force him. Su Shin, the combination of the 2 of us is amazing. After the 3 of Shi Yu left, Shui Lianhua came over with a small smile on her face. Here, the qualification to break through the Demon Tower. Su Shin handed her a special element spar. Water Lotus happily took it over. Her status is not low, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that she is a small celebrity. But at this moment, she seemed to fully understand how comfortable it is to hug someone's thigh. No wonder a strong man will never lack followers. Because under the big tree, it's really nice and fast. In the next few days, Shui Lianhua followed Su Shin to find the unlucky guy to rob. Because the places that are qualified to pass through the level have general directions, so Su Shin does not have to worry about running into people and reaps a lot. 7 days have passed since the start of the secret knockout round. Many Tianjiao also began to return to the foot of the mountain where the 5 checkpoints are located, and started a sprint for points. The difficulty of the secret world is certain. If you are unlucky, you can encounter a 7th level high-level secret realm monster. However, for those 7th level high-ranking Tianjiao mages, 7 days is enough for them to collect many qualifications to pass the level. Now, Sha Hongming, the grandson of the 19th emperor of the empire, gathered with the elder mages behind the Tianjiao. The 5 checkpoints are basically connected together. The magic tower is a tall tower with 7 floors. At this moment, the 3rd floor suddenly shines brightly. Oh, the Saint of Light from the Holy Court Empire broke into the 3rd floor within 5 minutes after entering. Although the light-type mages also belong to the element-type mages, the light-type mages are extremely comprehensive in terms of defense, attack, control, and even sealing. The time and space can't be seen. The light-type mages can be said to be the strongest elemental mages. Compared with this Saint of Light, Chu Guangyu, the son of the Light Temple of the Elemental Temple that entered at the same time, is slightly inferior and is still on the 2nd floor. The elder mages of the 8th and 9th ranks of 003 looking at the magic tower, they laughed and talked with each other from the perspective of an elder looking at a younger generation. There will be 1 point for breaking through the 1st floor of the magic tower, 5 points for the 2nd floor, 10 points for the 3rd floor, 20 points for the 4th floor, and 40 points for the 5th floor. On the other side of the ladder of spiritual consciousness, there are a total of 100 steps. At this moment, it can be seen that there are many figures of Tianzhao climbing up. The one who walks in the front is the chief disciple of the former imperial capital Zhao Tu, who is extremely powerful with sword magic. In the ladder of spiritual consciousness, you will get points for every 10 floors, which are 1, 5, 10, 20, 40, 80, until the 100th floor with 1280 points. It seems that the spiritual consciousness ladder has the most points, but the genius limit of a general 7th order mage can only get 40 points. Because Zhao Tu was born with strong mental power and mastered sword magic, his mental power far surpassed that of the same level, but he finally stayed on the 65th floor and got 80 points. Among the Tianzhao who climbed the ladder in the same batch as him, the 2nd place only stayed on the 51st floor, which shows that the gap in mental power is immeasurable. Xia Hongming looked at Zhao Tu, who was far ahead, with a hint of melancholy in his eyes. Although Zhao's family in the imperial capital did not publicly express their support for anyone, they secretly walked very close to Prince Emu's mansion, and deliberately kept a distance from him. BBFI. The 3rd place to break through the level is Wenshinmen. This is to get points every minute, and you will get 1 point for every minute you stick to it. Led by the Lust Witch of the Demon God sect, a group of Tianzhao also entered the Wenshin Gate, but most of them could only last for 30 to 35 minutes. Now that an hour has passed, Yan Xiai, the Lust Witch, still has no sign of coming out. The strong lamented the strong willpower of this woman. The 4th place to break through the checkpoint, the battle formation. This is divided into 10 stages. Before entering the combat power formation, the magic circle will measure your real mage level. If it is a 6th level upper rank, then the illusioned opponent is a 6th level upper rank. In the 1st stage, there is only 1 opponent. Each subsequent stage will multiply, until the 10th stage, that is to face 512 opponents from the same land at once. Clearing the combat force array really means that the same level of combat power is invincible, absolutely invincible. Xia Hongming took a look at the moment, and the one entering it is the 7th rank high-ranking mage, Kamido Kuga of the island country. It is said that the magic he masters is extremely special, and he has never shown it to others. Now he is also in a stalemate at the 5th stage. But this is already exaggerated. After all, he is a 7th rank upper rank, and in the 5th stage, he will face 16 opponents of 7th rank upper mages. The last place to pass the level, the magic deduction platform. This checkpoint location is rarely visited by geniuses. After all, only 1 point is awarded for deducing a magic formula, but it usually takes several hours to deduce a magic formula, and this checkpoint is completely a test of understanding, without any training and training. Enhance the effect. Which Tianzhao has not been trained in this aspect since childhood, so it seems tasteless. What? You were also robbed by Su Xin? That's right, I only lasted 1 move in front of him, and I had no choice but to hand over the past qualifications I collected to him. Is there anything wrong? You can't be Su Xin's trustee, right? You are a 7th rank low-rank mage, and you are still at the level of Tianzhao. You can't beat a 6th rank high-ranking mage. That's right, then Su Xin is definitely a 7th level mage, and only at the same level can he crush me with his heaven-defying talent. At this time, there was a commotion among a group of Tianzhao at the foot of the mountain. After Xia Hongming heard it, she was shocked. What did he hear? Has Su Xin stepped into the 7th step? The elder mages beside him couldn't sit still anymore. What a shocking fact this is, an 18-year-old high-ranking mage. When these elder mages were young, none of the Tianzhao of that generation at that time didn't know how difficult it was to step from the 6th level to the 7th level. But the fact before us is, someone stepped into the 7th step at the age of 18. Ahem, how do you say that? Su Xin is really at the 7th level. Xia Hongming tried her best to maintain her appearance, but she still walked over and asked questions. I've seen your highness, Su Xin is probably at the 7th level. Su Xin seems to be looking for someone to rob the pass qualification. He has already lost several 7th level Tianzhao mages, and I am also one of them. Shi Yu, son of God of the Earth Temple, said solemnly. It's the 7th level, there is no doubt about it. After all, he added, and he seems to have mastered not only the gold and fire elements, but also the earth element. Earth type, did he use lightning type magic when dealing with me? What, he also knows lightning magic. He used poison magic when he hit me, and directly poisoned our group. What you said is true. So how many kinds of magic does this Su Xin have mastered? This can no longer be described as a monstrous evildoer. Mastering many kinds of magic is also in the category of Tianzhao. While mastering so many magics, Shen can still step into the 7-year-old at the age of 18. Compared to him, am I really qualified to be called a genius? The victims who were robbed by Su Xin gathered together, and as their words increased, they discovered the unnatural facts about Su Xin more and more. I think you are lying. Do you believe this fact? Tianzhao, who has not been robbed, joins in, and he will not believe it. How about the specifics? Wouldn't it be clear if Su Xin came here to break through the barrier? An indifferent voice sounded, and everyone turned around to see that it was Zhao Tu, the favorite to win the championship. He had just come down from the ladder of spiritual consciousness and needed to rest for a while before going to other levels. He couldn't help but come over to listen to the movement here. Xia Hongming blinked, and asked, Zhao Tu, do you think it is possible for Su Xin to step into the 7th step? It might come as a surprise that he is a monster born out of nowhere, but I don't deny the possibility. Zhao Tu nodded. With him being such a top-notch talent, how could he step on it? It's just the truth. It's so good. Xia Hongming looked into the distance, as if he couldn't wait for Su Xin to break through. The secret knockout round will last for 15 days. On the 11th day, Su Xin and Shui Lianhua came back. At this time, Su Xin. Various values have been greatly improved again. First of all, the 8,000 spiritual power increase brought about by the 8,000 mental power increase obtained by killing people and absorbing souls, which brings about 80,000 strength, mana value and nearly 200,000 defense value. Of course, these upgrades require cultivation resources containing magic power such as elemental crystals and magic potions. The elemental crystals presented by Tian Nangong and the robbery results during this period were all consumed by Su Xin. In addition, the daily automatic 2,400 value increase has never been interrupted, and it is 24,000 in 10 days. The data on his panel is as follows. Host, Su Xin. Age, 18. Level, 7th tier lower mage. Strength, 308,000. Defense, 870,000. Mental power, 32,000. Magic value, 315,000. To Su Xin's surprise, the data on the power and mana panel had already exceeded 300,000, and the level was still at the lower level of 7th order. They won't trouble us, will they? Shui Lianhua saw that as soon as she and Su Xin came to the barrier, the nearby Tianzhao cast her eyes on her, and she couldn't help shrinking her neck a little. After all this time, Su Xin has won quite a few qualifications. She, a salted fish who can only call 666 for nothing, has been assigned 15 qualifications to pass the level, and each level can be passed 3 times on average. As for Su Xin's hands, she didn't calculate carefully, at least there are more than 100. Su Xin is back. It was rumored yesterday that Su Xin has stepped into the 7th step. I don't believe it. It depends on his performance. That's not easy. Just go to the battle array and test it, and the level will be revealed immediately. Quote. The Tianzhao watched Su Xin, waiting for his upcoming choice. Su Xin, it seems that your harvest is very good, how is it? Have you decided which level to choose first? Xia Hongming walked forward with a smile on her face. Her tone was gentle, as if treating a close friend. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I have already decided to fight the force first. Su Xin greeted with a smile. Although he is not going to join any party, there is no need to pretend to be cold and flirtatious. 5 levels. Su Xin is only interested in the combat power formation, whether it is the ladder of spiritual consciousness or the door of asking the heart, although they all have the effect of tempering themselves, but for others, for Su Xin, the effect of tempering is not as good as talent. Draining soul killing a 7th level mage is more common. Battle formation. It's a battle formation. Su Xin has chosen the battle formation, and we will soon know his true rank. After learning of Su Xin's decision, a group of Tianzhao subconsciously surrounded him, including some 7th order genius mages. Su Xin didn't say anything. Jin stepped straight into the battle formation. What happened in the battle formation could not be seen from the outside, but some information could be known accurately. For example, at the moment Su Xin enters the battle formation, the display outside shows the rank of a 6th tier mage. Su Xin has not stepped into the 7th rank of mage. Isn't that even more terrifying? A 6th level mage can leapfrog a level to defeat a 7th level mage, and a genius level 7th level mage, when he reaches the 7th level, won't he be invincible at the 7th level? It was rumored before that Su Xin's combat strength is invincible at the same level. If he can really pass the battle formation, it will truly prove this point. Not a 7th order mage. There was no disappointment in Xia Hongming's eyes, but joy instead. Because Su Xin will always step into the 7th level, and his performance in combat power is the real exaggeration. Genius mages are also divided into 3, 6, and 9 levels. It is no different from standing on the top of the pyramid with invincible combat power at the same level. If it's just that the cultivation speed is fast and the combat power can't keep up, then it's just amazing. I can't use the magic power between heaven and earth, so I let this formation judge myself as a 6th order mage. Looking at Su Xin again, he was a little speechless about the rank determination of the battle formation. As a result, he couldn't understand his ultimate combat power level at all. What is the meaning of the 6th level? Not to mention the 512 opponents of the same level in the first stage, that is, there are 10 times more opponents, gathered together, Su Xin can instantly kill them all with one big move. For Su Xin, as long as he is a mage level below him, crowd tactics are a joke, and his strong defense is there, and he is already invincible. In the battle formation, the first stage. With a single flick of Su Xin's fingers, a cluster of flame waves popped up, instantly killing the 6th rank opponent in front of him. Repeat one move until the 5th stage. Just about to go all out, the speed of the combat force array to gather opponents is not as fast as Su Xin's to eliminate opponents, but since he knows that he cannot judge his own ultimate combat power, he will naturally change his mind. Brush defense value. Talent. Hardened with this talent, whenever Su Xin is attacked, the corresponding resistance and defense value will be increased. It's just that Su Xin didn't have a chance to brush it before, but now it's the right time for a special magic circle like the battle force formation that only exists here. In addition, while brushing up the defense value, you can also brush up the experience value of adaptive force, so why not do it? In the 5th stage, 16 opponents. Since Su Xin has only cast fire magic, all 10 opponents are fire mages. This is the difficulty of the combat power formation. With the display of your whole cards, the opponents transformed in the next stage will also increase in strength accordingly, and the number will also increase exponentially. Su Xin took off his clothes, stood still, and let 16 transformed opponents attack him. At the same time, Su Xin is always paying attention to the personal panel in his mind. The defense value above is almost beating in crazy numbers, and the increase efficiency is scary. The experience value of Dragon Slayer's self-adaptive ability also skyrocketed at the same time. What Su Xin didn't expect was, there is actually a time limit for this battle formation. If the 5th stage cannot pass for half an hour, it will be automatically judged as a failure. Ever since, Su Xin was teleported out without any warning, and he looked extraordinarily handsome in only a pair of big underpants. Can't you pass the 5th stage? This is far from being invincible at the same level. How did he beat the 7th level mage by leapfrogging? Maybe you're hiding. The result of only staying in the 5th stage surprised everyone. In fact, the 5th stage is no longer a hip-pull achievement. After all, the opponent transformed by the combat power array is not weak. But when it happened to Su Xin, compared to his shocking achievements, it seemed extraordinarily ordinary. Su Xin didn't explain anything. Continued to take out a token and break into the battle formation again. This time, he was stuck on time and successfully entered the 6th stage. The time limit for the 6th stage is 1 hour, and Su Xin is stuck in time to enter the 7th stage, and so on until the 1st stage. Su Xin still felt that the opponent was not good enough, so he cast Gold, Earth, and Thunder magic one after another. So the 512 opponents in the 1st stage, each opponent is a 4-line mage. Yin Xin has no time to pay attention to the movement outside. He just felt that he was so happy at the moment. The original defense of 870,000 has already broken through the million mark. And there is a surprise. Talent. Trials of Trials. When Su Xin's defense value exceeded 1 million, he also developed a special talent, Regeneration of Flesh and Blood. This derivative talent is not strong, but it is not weak. Although it cannot ignore fatal injuries, it can regenerate broken limbs. As long as the heart and head are not cut off, any part of Su Xin's body can be regenerated infinitely, the premise of sufficient magic power. The time for the 10th stage of the battle formation is 3 hours. Once the level is cleared, it means the level of invincible combat power at the same level, which is undisputed. At the entrance of the battlefield, hundreds of Tianzhao gathered here, and it has been 2.5 hours since Su Xin entered the 10th stage. Yao Xie, Tu Xuan's companion, stood silently behind the crowd with a thoughtful expression. He knew that Tu Xuan had died in the hands of Su Xin, which meant that Su Xin's real combat strength was definitely not just a 6th rank. Perhaps among all the people present, he was the only one who firmly believed that Su Xin would be able to clear the battle formation level of a 6th order mage. However, to his surprise, half an hour later, Su Xin was teleported out again by the battle force formation, which showed that within the 3-hour period, Su Xin had not eliminated all the 512 opponents in the 1st stage. It's already very good. Although it's not absolutely invincible at the same level, it's almost invincible at the same level. The most important thing is that Su Xin is still, Qilu San, is very young and has a lot of room for growth. The smile on Xia Hongming's face remained undiminished, and being able to last 3 hours in the 1st stage was already an extremely heaven-defying display of combat power. Is he hiding his clumsiness? Yao Xie frowned slightly. Su Xin bowed his head after seeing Su Xin, and turned away after a while. Everyone, I have a total of 155 pass-through qualifications in my hands. Now I want to make a deal with you. You can exchange the pass-through qualifications of the battle force formation with me for other pass-through qualifications. You can also use element spars to buy them from me. Su Xin quickly raised his head and said loudly to the crowd of Tianzhao. All the Tianzhao who had been snatched by him rolled their eyes. Almost all their valuables were robbed. But the other arrogances shine in front of their eyes. After one took the lead, others stepped forward to make deals with Su Xin. Su Xin was thinking about his thoughts while trading. Of course, he can easily pass through the battle formation, but once he clears the level, he will directly clear the level if he enters again. Although the defense value breaks through the critical point of 1 million, the effect of brushing the defense value will drop a lot, but it will still increase. In addition, the defense value gain is decreasing, but the experience value of Dragon Slayer Master's adaptive force has no obvious variable changes and is very stable. So, Su Xin wants to use this combat power array to raise the level of self-adaptability to LV5 in one fell swoop, and get another talent. For this reason, the qualification of the battle force formation is urgently needed. Most of the other Tianzhao enter the battle formation once, at most twice, so they are happy to exchange with Su Xin. After all, for them, the 2 levels of spiritual consciousness ladder and heart door are more obvious to them. The focus of the crowd is not only Su Xin, but also Yan Xi, the Witch of Lust. Although she is wearing a loose mage robe, she still cannot conceal her proud figure. Yan Xi walked up to Su Xin, and said in a charming voice. Change the qualification to pass through the ladder of spiritual consciousness. Su Xin looked up and took another look at the woman. This is really a stunner. Looking at it a few more times as if it will increase your life, makes people feel refreshed. I wanted to ask if the other party knew that girl Irena, but after thinking about it, I still didn't say anything. Su Xin took out a Jingyuan stone to complete the exchange with him. After the transaction, Su Xin has a total of 30 tokens and many more element spars. He really needs magic power resources, but if I use this as a bargaining chip to recruit, it would be unwise. Xia Hongming watched silently from the side, her mind was also racing quickly. Su Xin went to the battle formation again. It seems that he thinks he has a chance to pass. I understand the truth. After all, after he survived for 3 hours, maybe there are only a few illusion opponents left, but what I don't understand is, doesn't he need to rest? Just continue to challenge like this. You still don't know much about Su Xin. This Su Xin is not only famous as an 18-year-old 6th order mage. His body is also strong, the kind that can resist magical attacks physically. Some people say that this guy is a humanoid warcraft. Forget it, I've seen the excitement, it's time to earn points as much as possible, maybe a few points will break into the top 3,000. The Tianzhao gathered together to see if Su Xin could clear the battle formation. Now that they had almost got the result, they naturally lost interest in watching, so they started to disperse and play their own things. Entering the combat formation this time, Su Xin rushed to the 10th stage in one breath, and then accepted the beating. 3 hours later, he was teleported out again by the combat force formation. Everyone saw that his body seemed to be covered with scars, and guessed that he had fought hard. But what is surprising is that Su Xin has entered the battle experience formation again. Come out and go in every 3 hours. This repeated cycle directly numbs Xia Hongming, an 8th level mage. His only doubt now is, why is Su Xin's physical strength so exaggerated? Such a high-intensity battle can be repeated again and again. After 60 hours, ding, congratulations to the host Master Dragon Slayer's self-adaptation level up to IV 520, 1 million. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the talent, Magic Power Fusion. Talent, Magic Power Fusion. You can fuse 2 or more kinds of magic power you have mastered. Note, the premise of Magic Power Fusion is that you need strong spiritual power as support. Su Xin from the combat force suddenly opened his eyes, and the eyes were full of light. Magic Fusion. He has always wanted to devote himself to this point, but after trying everything, the magic powers he possesses are not only interchangeable, but also combined with each other. Although there is a difference between combination and fusion, it is a treasure of heaven and earth. The combination is only 10 plus 10, but the fusion is 10x 10. In addition, the 60 hours of self-abuse only increased the defense value by 50,000 again. Obviously, the attack was not powerful enough to stimulate Su Xin's talent, hardened. After coming out, Su Xin entered the battle formation again. This time, he directly cleared the battle formation. After all, there are 1280 points for passing the first stage. In addition to the points rewards of the previous 9 stages, Su Xin's points have already exceeded 2,000. Absolutely, it's a solid top 30, maybe it's still number 1. After clearing the battle formation, Su Xin immediately went to the thatched hut at the foot of Wenshan Mountain. Each thatched hut is covered by a small magic circle, which can ensure absolute silence, allowing Tianzhao to digest the feelings after breaking through the level in an undisturbed environment. Fusion. Su Xin couldn't wait, and directly fused the magic power of thunder with the magic power of fire. This fusion made me feel dizzy and my mental strength was overdrawn. But instead, a brand new magic power is integrated into the flesh body. Before the fusion, Su Xin transformed all her own magic power into 2 kinds of magic power of thunder and magic power of fire. Now his whole body has only the magic power of thunder and flames. The improvement effect is simply terrifying. You must know that Su Xin's explosive state is that the 4 limbs are transformed into dragons. If he transforms into a dragon, Su Xin's testosterone can be increased by more than 6 times in 10 times. The multiplier is equal to the number of dragon-slaying magic. But now, before the 4 limbs are transformed into dragons, Su Xin's power has been multiplied by 10 times just by fusing the 2 magic powers. If the magic fusion is carried out on the basis of the premise of limbs becoming dragons, it will be 16 times. 16 times increase in combat power. This is not equivalent to facing 16 Su Xin, but a Su Xin strengthening plus 1/6. And this is just the fusion of two types of magic. What if there are more? However, the fusion of magic power cannot be maintained all the time. After all, it consumes too much mental power. Su Xin was exposed to the fusion of Thunder Flame magic power. After resting for a few hours, he continued to try magic power fusion when his mental power recovered. He proceeded step by step. Instead of rushing to merge the three kinds of magic power directly, he tried two different kinds of magic power. This attempt, indeed, has a good discovery. For example, the Thunder Flame magic power, produced by the fusion of the magic power of thunder and the magic power of fire, because both kinds of magic power are extremely aggressive, so the focus of this fusion magic power is attack. And if the magic power of gold and the magic power of earth are fused, then the fused gold magic power will focus on defense. Combining the magic power of the dead spirit with the magic power of poison, the focus will be on the effect, that is, the special effect ability. Taken together, the fusion of magic power will superimpose and complement each other. There are many combinations, and Su Xin can completely determine which fusion magic is most suitable according to his own situation. In addition, naturally, Su Xin also tried whether it is possible to carry out multiple fusions through the 2-2 fusion. But it turns out that not currently. Yes, not currently. The spiritual power of more than 30,000 is not enough to support it. But if the mental power value is high enough, it is a completely feasible result. After some tries, it's the last day of the Secret Realm Knockout Tournament. Currently, Su Xin has the most points with more than 2,000 points. Below him are the 8 7th rank high-ranking Tianzhao mages. Basically, everyone has about the same points. Among the 8 7th rank high-ranking Tianzhao mages, none of them passed a level perfectly, so Su Xin's points are far behind. And on this last day, Su Xin still couldn't help but try the fusion of three magic powers. He chose the three magic powers of gold, thunder and fire. Among the magic powers he has now, these three kinds of attack power are undoubtedly the strongest. Su Xin knew that his mental power might be insufficient, and the reason why he still wanted to try was to see how much the mental power value was missing, so that he could have a psychological preparation. What he didn't expect, however, was that, as soon as he tried the fusion of the three kinds of magic power, he saw a shocking explosion and suddenly exploded. The thatched cottage where Su Xin lived suddenly gave birth to a magic mushroom cloud, and the entire Wenshan mountain was extremely agitated at the moment of the explosion. Asshole! Sha Hongming was the first to react, and immediately roared angrily. He subconsciously thought that someone had sneaked up on Su Xin. The 8th tier and 9th tier mages around him also looked at each other in blank dismay, not knowing what happened for a while. But these strong men still followed Sha Hongming to the explosion site to check the situation. At the center of the explosion, Su Xin was in a coma in pain, and the injuries all over his body were shocking. What's the situation? I noticed that there are strong magic powers of gold, thunder, and fire fluctuating between the heaven and the earth. Is it Su Xin trying a magic that failed but caused the explosion? But isn't this explosion a little too exaggerated? Quote. The powerful mages did not dare to step forward, for fear of being touched. And some Tianzhao mages who heard the news also watched with strange expressions. Quick, Su Xin is not dead, immediately send him out of the secret realm and go for treatment. Sha Hongming stepped forward anxiously, checked the injury, and saw that Su Xin's vitality was still strong. She couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. If this kind of heaven-defying arrogance died in front of his eyes, Sha Hongming would almost beat his chest and scold his mother. Leaving the secret realm world ahead of time is equivalent to abstention. However, Su Xin is a special case, and others will naturally not make more comments on this aspect. A few days later, the palace. Your Highness, please rest assured that Su Xin's condition has basically stabilized. He didn't suffer any major injuries, but his mental strength was seriously exhausted. He will wake up slowly with time. Your Highness, don't worry, this will not hurt Su Xin's foundation. In a dormitory, a white-haired old man was reporting to Hong Ming. Brother Huang, this Su Xin's body is so hard. Sha Hongming's younger sister, Sha Hongyu, surrounded Su Xin's bed, stretching out her little hand from time to time to tap this and that. That's good, it won't hurt the foundation. Sha Hongming was completely relieved. He looked at his younger sister Sha Hongyu, who was very curious about Su Shin and didn't stop him. After all, in his opinion, if Su Shin is popular, it would be a great thing. With Su Shin's talent, it is more than enough to match a princess. Generally speaking, Sha Hongyu is the granddaughter of Emperor Qianyuan, and Sha Hongming's father is not a prince, so he is not qualified to be a princess, but a princess. But Sha Hongyu was also very popular with Emperor Qianyuan, so she was named Princess Anning. There are many granddaughters of the emperor, but only 3 have the title of princess. Let Su Shin's friends come in. Sha Hongming then gave instructions to the guards outside the bedroom. Soon, Yang Su, Jin 12, Hua Yuk and others who had already arrived in the imperial capital walked into the sleeping hall. Elder brother. Seeing Su Shin lying on the bed, Yang Su couldn't hold back his tear glands, thinking that Su Shin had been beaten like this in the knockout round of the secret realm. Let me see. Senior sister Chi stepped forward, checked Su Shin's body, expertly, and then said, he's fine, he's fine. Real. Yang Su stopped crying. Real. Su Shin, who was lying on the bed, suddenly opened his eyes and said something angrily. This silly girl looked like she was in mourning, making him think that his time was approaching. However, the fusion of these 3 magic powers is really exaggerated, just a slight attempt will have such a big backlash effect. The value of more than 30,000 spiritual power needs to be combined with 3 kinds of magic power, which is far from enough. What's the matter? How long have I been asleep? Su Shin then got up and asked. You have been in a coma for 5 days, and the final group arena will start tomorrow. Princess Anning Hongyu at the side blinked playfully and said something. Then my opponent is out. Su Shin asked again. Well, it came out a long time ago. After the top 30 come out, it will be divided into 15 ring competitions, 2 games a day, and 3 games in the last day for a week. Because you are the first in the secret elimination competition, the first ring competition Sai is you. And your opponent is the son of God, Zhong'an, from the Dark Temple of the Elemental Temple. He is a 7th level median mage. Quote. 7th order median. After hearing this, Yang Su couldn't help but gasp. What's going on? My brother is at the 6th level, why do you arrange a 7th level median? That's because only your brother in the top 30 ranks at the 6th rank, and everyone else is at the lowest rank of the 7th rank. Sha Hongyu looked at Yang Su with her big watery eyes blinking. Yang Su. Hiss. Also, your brother defeated the 7th rank low-ranking mage in the secret realm elimination competition. You are his sister, right? Why are you so unclear about the strength of your big brother? This. Yang Su was speechless again. She suddenly looked at Su Shin, full of complaints. I know Zhong An's strength quite well, so I'll talk to you about it now. Shui Lianhua at the side interrupted at this moment. Flowers are missing. This made Hua Yuk a little confused. Although the 9 main halls of the Temple of Elements do not interfere with each other, they are still a whole after all. If Zhong An knew that Shui Lianhua was an inner ghost like this, he would be so angry that he would have a cerebral hemorrhage. Imperial Capital Mage Coliseum. It is located in the eastern ring city of the Imperial Capital, with a large area that can accommodate 500,000 spectators at one time. On this day, there were no empty seats in the arena of the mages in the Imperial Capital, and there was a lot of voices. The audience cheered, and the atmosphere was already at its peak before the first round of the final group arena. This is an unprecedented event. The vast majority of people will not be able to experience it in their lifetime, but for these viewers, it is a great blessing to be able to witness the competition between Tianzhou mages with their own eyes. In this elite competition, before the top 2 are separated, the venue for the group arena will be in the Imperial Capital Mage Arena. As for the final first and second battle, the venue will be changed to the central square in front of the Imperial Palace of the Kyushu Empire. At that time, Emperor Qianyuan of the Kyushu Empire will also appear in person. In the center of Nuo Da's arena, Su Shin rubbed his brows as he stepped into the arena. Oh, Su Shin, Su Shin, Su Shin. After Su Shin appeared on the stage, the audience from all directions in the arena completely cheered and shouted Su Shin's name. They waved their arms excitedly, and their emotions were indescribably high. Su Shin, I bought you to win. Come on, defeat that Dark Temple's Zhong'an. Please Su Shin, I bought you $1 million to win. If you win, I will win $1 million at once. Su Shin, you can do it, defeat Zhang En, I will be your lifelong loyal fan. However, the ugly thing is that most of these cheers are the howling of gambling dogs. When there is a game, the winner will be divided, and there will naturally be a gambling handicap. The winning-losing ratio between Su Shin and Zhang En is 9.0.7, and if Su Shin wins, it will be multiplied ninefold. This is 900% benefit feedback. Even if the strength gap between the 6th and 7th ranks is there, it still can't scare the gamblers, so they want to force Su Shin to win. It's only been a day, and Su Shin's mental power has not yet fully recovered. He still felt a little mentally exhausted at the moment, and now the whole arena was full of noise, which made him a little irritable, and wanted to end his group arena quickly. Shortly after Su Shin's debut, Zhang En, who was dressed in a black robe, also appeared in the long-awaited. This is a stern-looking young man with a serious face. When he appeared, the audience in the arena also cheered his name. Party. On the luxurious viewing platform of the arena, the luxurious boxes are also full of figures, and these people are all powerful mages or high-ranking people. Xia Hongming deliberately prepared a luxurious box for Yang Su, Jin Shisen and other friends who had a close relationship with Su Shin. At this moment, in a certain box, Mu Wang Xia Xuanmu looked solemnly at the young man in the center of the field below, with a trace of anger faintly showing in his brows. Zhan Tianxing ran away. King Mu never expected that a mere Zhan Tianxing would have the guts to play infernal affairs in front of him and other princes and grandsons, and after getting some benefits from each family, he directly played evaporation. This made Mu Wang's close contact with Su Shin's hand completely fly away. Seeing that Zhen Hongming is getting closer and closer to Su Shin, taking advantage of the convenience of the secret world knockout round, he is naturally anxious in every possible way. In addition, Mu Wang Xia Xuanmu is the referee of the arena competition in the arena. At this moment, seeing that the time was almost up, he left the box room, and suddenly appeared between Su Shin and Zhang En in the center of the venue. He first gave Su Shin a friendly smile, then turned his head and nodded to Zhang En. Then he declared loudly, "The final group arena of this year's Global Elite competition has officially begun. In the first match, Su Shin from the Tianan province of the Kyushu Empire will fight against Zhang En, the son of the Dark Temple of the Temple of Elements." After all, then he exited the center of the field, and at the same time opened the magic formation around the field. Once this magic formation is fired, the uproarious cheers stopped abruptly, apparently with sound insulation function, allowing the two on the ring to concentrate on dealing with their opponents. "I think you don't respect me a little bit. From the moment you played to now, your eyes have been erratic, and you don't have my opponent in your eyes at all." Zhang En looked at the impatient Su Shin in front of him, frowned slightly, and continued. "In terms of talent, I, Zhang En, are indeed not as good as you, but in terms of strength, I am a big rank higher than you. If I am allowed to enter the battle formation of the level of a 6th order mage, I am confident that I can pass the level perfectly within an hour." After hearing this, Su Shin looked at the opponent in front of him, smiled apologetically and said, "I'm sorry, I don't look down on you, but you know that something happened to me in the secret world." Right now, his mental strength is still somewhat exhausted, which is why his eyes look erratic. Quote, "So, you can't show your full strength in this group arena." Zhang An's brows were furrowed even tighter. Tianzhao is arrogant, and he is already one rank higher than the other party. Now that the other party is not in full condition, he is naturally not happy, and feels that the victory is unwarranted. Su Shin replied, "It should be enough. One good one should be enough." "Su Shin, you are crazier than I imagined." Zhang En suddenly turned angry. He stopped talking nonsense. Players attack. Dark magic abyss ball. I saw Zhang En holding a staff, and a black curtain suddenly spread out all over his body. In an instant, the entire venue was invaded by darkness. The boundless darkness floods in like a tide. In the end, it turned into an extremely dark black ball, just like a black hole. The horror at the black ball end is incomparable. Across the magic circle, tens of millions of viewers can feel the terrifying suction from it. In the eyes of the audience, with the center of the black ball, the surrounding space is vaguely distorted. Call out. Without warning, the black ball turned into a black horse and shot towards Su Shin. It didn't have any flight path at all. as if all the light was absorbed, and when it stopped again, it had already hit Su Shin on the heart. Bang! Boom! Suddenly there was a crashing sound from Su Shin's body, and the ground of the whole venue collapsed in a terraced field with Su Shin's feet as the center in an instant. Su Shin, why don't you hide? Can't hide. After all, it's the high-level magic of a 7th-level mage, and it's also a weird dark system. Su Shin was directly hit by this move. Judging by Su Shin's appearance, it seems that he didn't cast any defensive magic. The audience is still noisy. However, in the next second, everyone's eyes widened, looking at the scene in front of them in disbelief. Su Li Nuo's Shin slowly stretched out his right hand, and grasped the black ball on his chest in his hand. With a sudden force, the whole black ball was directly caught and exploded by him. For a moment, hundreds of thousands of spectators remained eerily quiet. Then, like a raging wave, there was a thunderous shout. Oh my God, what did I see? Catch the 7th order dark magic with bare hands. Is this him still a person? Su Shin's body is too strong. Is he really a mage? Can a mage make his body so strong? Ha ha ha, I won. I'm going to win the bar. Su Shin, Su Shin, Su Shin, Su Shin. After some exclamation, the audience began to shout Su Shin's name in unison. Certainly, Su Shin and Zhang An in the venue cannot hear it. Su Shin was still not satisfied, and hooked his fingers towards Zhang An, who had a look of astonishment. From now on, I, Su Shin, will start to really pretend. Being able to stand out among the 900 Tianzhou mages and squeeze into the top 30, which one is not a genius among geniuses? Zhang An was astonished at Su Shin's powerful physical body, but he didn't get flustered. The magic power of the staff in his hand flourished again. In an instant, the magical power of the whole field, the world, had a sense of sight in his hands, like a violent wind and waves, as if the boundless dark magic power invaded completely. Above the venue, a black curtain suddenly opened. Dark magic night sky. Buzz buzz. Huo's astonishing aura came from the dark curtain above, and in the blink of an eye, countless dark arrows rained down from the sky. If that's the case, Zhang An can only be regarded as the means of Tianzhou. At the same time, Zhang An stared at Su Shin with his eyes, and said in a low voice. Gravity magic skyfall. Bang! Su Shin's eyes froze suddenly, the ground under his feet cracked instantly, and the space around him was buzzing and trembling. An indescribable gravitational space completely surrounded Su Shin, and the degree of this gravitational force was nearly dozens of times. The stronger Su Shin's body is, the higher the impact of gravity will be. For a while, Su Shin actually found that he seemed to have a tendency to find it difficult to lift his feet, and even couldn't help but bend down at the waist. Under this exaggerated gravity, Su Shin seemed to be frozen, unable to move. Also take this opportunity. On the dark sky, the boundless rain of black and dark arrows exploded continuously, completely devastating the entire battlefield. Wow! The scene once again boiled over. Originally, Su Shin thought that Su Shin could easily catch Zhang An's move, and he was sure of winning. Unexpectedly, in addition to the dark magic, Zhang An also mastered a very special gravity magic. Hey, is it true? Am I too happy? In the face of gravity magic, Su Shin's powerful body will become a burden instead. That's why I said, this is a global elite competition, the whole world. Who can be bullied if they can enter the top 30? I thought I could see the refreshing picture of crushing. The audience all around shouted. They were enthusiastic and excited, except for the betting dogs. Most of the audience didn't care who would win, they just wanted to see the wonderful battle. At this time, the sky suddenly brightened. It turned out that the overwhelming darkness gathered together and turned into a huge dark blade with a size of hundreds of feet. Under the control of Zhang An, the dark giant blade moved towards the immobile Su Xingxin. Mu Wang, who was acting as the referee, couldn't help but look tense, as if he was ready to rescue him at any time. Lei Yanlong's roar. Su Shin covered his face with the dark giant blade, his legs drummed violently, and then the light of thunder flames shone on the entire field, which was extremely dazzling. The terrifying beam of thunder and flame blasted the giant dark blade away with an unstoppable force. But under the influence of gravity, Su Shin's thunder flame dragon's roar actually began to have a clear downward trend. This made Su Shin grin and show his teeth. His thunder flame dragon roar is not a fusion of magic power, but it also poured about 200,000 mana points, while Su Xin's real total mana points are more than 1.8 million. With a mana value of 200,000, the opponent's gravity magic can actually affect his dragon-slaying magic, which shows that Zhang An's strength is definitely worthy of the name of Tianzhao. But that's all. Su Xin turned his head and faced Zhang An directly in front of him. The beam of thunder flames sprayed out in front of his mouth was like a long whip, but it didn't disappear for a long time. Feel broken. Bang bang bang. Boom boom boom. Zhang An's complexion changed drastically. When his defensive magic touched Su Xin's beam of thunder and flames, it immediately showed signs of shattering, and the second time it broke directly. Poof! This Tianzhao spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out straight upside down. Su Xin, win. Mu Wang touched his chin subconsciously, and was a little surprised by the result. Dozens of spectators were even more stupefied. Just now, Zhang An had the upper hand BBFC, but in the next second he was directly overwhelmed by Su Xin's move. The victory was too sudden and easy, but it made the audience a little unacceptable. Are you really the Sixth Order? Zhang An struggled to get up, looked at Su Xin with a heavy face, and asked with some reluctance. It's the seventh step. Su Xin shook his head and replied with a smile. Zhang An clasped his fists after hearing this, and then simply left the stage. Level 7. Su Xin is indeed a Tier 7 mage. But why didn't he mobilize the magic power of heaven and earth when he cast magic? More than enough. Could it be that you can reach invincible combat power at the same level just after breaking through? This is wrong. Every small level of a high-level mage is a huge gap. How can it be so easy to overcome? If you want me to say that Zhang An's strength is too weak, the 7th rank high-ranking mage Tianzhao must face Su Xin, so that Su Xin can fully reveal his true strength. The magic circle in the venue was temporarily closed, and the boiling audience began to gather in Su Xin's ears. He glanced around at the dense audience, then left the venue with a chuckle. In a private viewing platform, Yao Xie stood with a 9th rank mage from Anan Xiaoguo. Yao Xie said after the winner was decided, "This Su Xin, should I say he is arrogant or confident, his performance is no different than telling everyone that he has a big secret. He will be safe during the elite competition, but once the elite competition is over, don't you really think that others will not dare to shoot him because of his unbelievable performance? Or, in fact, Fang Choran's power has long been standing behind him." After hearing this, Anan's 9th level mage said, "Being able to become a Tianzhao mage, everyone has more or less secrets. What everyone can't understand now is what kind of magic Su Xin has mastered to make his body so strong. This is too unreasonable, because his body there is no blood of Warcraft. What's even more unreasonable is that not to mention that he stepped into the rank of high-level mage at a young age, his combat power is still so powerful. This son, can't let him grow up." Yao Xie nodded and said, "If that's the case, then when I confront him, I will take the opportunity to destroy him." So good. This Su Xin must have mastered a lost magic, right? In another box, a certain dignitary in the imperial capital looked at his staff and asked the question. It's possible, but the greater possibility is brand new magic. The creativity of magic is endless, and a new kind of magic will be born in every era, some of which are mediocre, and some of which are against the sky. Su Xin, perhaps the latter. So, Su Xin's special assignment is created by himself. No, this may be negligible, perhaps it is some kind of inheritance. So that's how it is. If Su Xin can't get it, he'll be ruined. It's fine if he's just a fast-growing Tianzhao. He will eventually stop at the 9th rank, but this kind of exaggerated combat power performance is unacceptable. Don't let this palace be afraid. If he gets too close to Sha Hongming, if this palace doesn't get it, I won't let other people get it. Your Highness is wise." In the second arena competition, Zhao Tu, the upper-ranked mage of the 7th rank, faced Yao Xie, the middle-ranked mage of the 7th rank. There is still an hour before the start of the competition. At this time, Su Xin has arrived at the box where Yang Su and others are. It's really the 7th step. Seeing Su Xin enter the door, Jin 12 asked with a smile. "Well, but my 7th level is a bit different from other people's 7th level, maybe it's because of my magic." Although he did not bluntly state the existence of dragon-slaying magic, Su Xin clearly regarded Jin 12 as his own. I have indeed found similar spells in the magic books and history that you have mastered, but they seem to be completely different, so I probably can't give you any advice. Jin 12 smiled helplessly. Shui Lianhua, Jin Shisen, Yang Su, Qixi and other girls are discussing the next ring competition. In fact, Su Xin didn't tell anyone about Su Xin's killing of the 7th rank mage of the island country in the secret world. As for Su Xin himself, naturally he would not take this matter as a show-off. When Shui Lianhua said that Tu Xuan, who had troubled Su Xin before, and Yao Xie, who was about to play, were companions, Su Xin was slightly taken aback, and then said in a deep voice that Zhao Tu might be in trouble. When everyone in the room heard this, it was naturally because they were puzzled. Zhao Tu is a 7th level high-ranking mage, and he is also the most powerful sword magic in the same level. In addition, he will definitely not only master the magic of sword magic, he must have other trump cards beside him, just like Zhang An's gravity magic. Zhao Tu is already powerful enough to be seen by the naked eye, but why doesn't Su Xin like him? I'll take a nap first. Su Xin didn't reply, and he couldn't say why about the abyss magic. Before the sequelae of forcibly merging the 3 magic powers had not been completely eliminated, he lay down on the seat and closed his eyes to rest his mind. Yang Su saw this. Hurriedly giggling, he went over to squeeze his shoulders and back for his big brother. Brother, it's time to start. The voice of her sister Yang Su sounded in her ear, and Su Xin opened her eyes. He walked to the window and looked down. Field. The cold and handsome Zhao Tuzheng stood facing Yao Xie. Yao Xie's appearance is ordinary, but his eyes are extremely sharp, like eagle eyes, people dare not look directly at him. Today's second arena competition is between Zhao Tu, the 7th rank senior master of the Zhao family in the imperial capital of the 9 provinces, and Yao Xie, the 7th rank mid-ranker of Anangguo. The competition now officially begins. With Mu Wang's announcement, the closed magic circle around the venue restarted again. In an instant, the irritated audience voices that filled Zhao and Tu's ears disappeared. Zhao Tu asked himself that he was higher than the opponent, so he waited gracefully for the opponent's player to attack. However, Yao Xie didn't move for a long time, just looking at the other party like this, as if he didn't understand Zhao Tu's concession. Zhao Tu waited for a while and saw that the other party did not move, so he immediately snorted softly. He touched the space ring on his hand, and a magic long sword flew around him. Sword magic gale wind and sword rain. He pointed at Yao Xie. Then I saw that blue magic long sword suddenly disintegrated into countless afterimages, and each magic long sword was entwined with a wind vortex visible to the naked eye. Shish! Suddenly, the countless magical long swords wrapped in the vortex flew out of the air together, and there was a continuous ear-splitting sound in the sky above the field. Hundreds of thousands of spectators are boiling together. This is so strong. This trick is not only sword magic, but also a perfect combination of wind magic. Abyssal domain abyss of bones. Just when the countless magic swords were about to shoot through Yao Xie, the latter showed a slight smile on his face. Boo! As if water droplets were rippling on the surface of the lake, with Yao Xie as the center, an unprecedented dark red magic power spread out in a circle, and the countless magic swords seemed to touch the invisible barrier, and they were frozen in midair one by one. Difficult to advance. Zhao Tu's eyes tightened suddenly. The moment Yao Xie shot, he felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. He can almost conclude that Yao Xie is hiding his strength, and it is definitely not as simple as the 7th level median on the surface. Suddenly, Zhao Tu's eyes were stupefied for a moment. The whole place has changed drastically now, and there are countless scarlet tall trees standing upright. The ground is as bright red as if stained with blood, and the bright red ground is covered with countless human and monster corpses. Vomit. Some viewers couldn't help but vomited on the spot when they saw this bloody hell scene. It is forbidden to cast domain magic here. Zhao Tu was shocked, and hurriedly shouted. His voice seems to have a special ability, which is repelling this special field. It's word magic. In addition to mastering sword magic and wind magic, this Zhao Tu has mastered this spirit magic. And his speech magic does not need Zen mouth, and his attainments are deeper than that of PHS senior sister. Sword magic combined with word magic. As long as Zhao Tu said, "Don't move," and "this person can't use defensive magic," he could instantly kill the opponent, and even leapfrog. The abnormality of word spirit magic is well known in the world, which is also the reason why there are so few masters of it. But at the moment, Zhao Tu's speech magic was completely ineffective against Yao Xie. Who told you that I cast domain magic? Yao Xie shook his head and laughed. With a light lift of his right hand, the corpses all over the ground began to stand up slowly, and then began to piece together. There are human skeletons and monster skeletons, and there are human skeletons and human skeletons. In short, in the blink of an eye, the entire venue was filled with these monsters that assembled corpses. Sword magic Golden Emperor instant kill. This person cannot cast defensive magic. Zhao Tu turned pale with shock. Subconsciously he already felt that these corpse monsters were difficult to deal with, and decided to end the competition with one move with all his strength. .00. Call out. As soon as Zhao Tu's words fell, his magical long sword directly turned into a green light, which was as fleeting as the speed of light, and even a 7th level high-ranking mage could not capture that terrifying speed. When everyone came back to their senses, they realized that Yao Xia's abdomen had been pierced by the magic sword. But what shocked everyone even more was that even though there was a shocking blood hole in Yao Xia's abdomen, there were fine flesh and blood tentacles wriggling, and they grabbed the magic long sword tightly, so that the sword could no longer be controlled by Zhao Zhu. Tread. But at this moment, the countless patchwork monsters were stepping on heavy footsteps, but the speed was not slow at all, and rushed towards Zhao Tu like a tidal wave. The latter's complexion has reached the extreme. The magic of the word spirit was too powerful and consumed him a lot. Even if he took out a magic long sword again at this time, it still couldn't resist the charge of these patchwork monsters. It didn't take a moment for Zhao Tu to be overwhelmed by the assembled corpse monsters, and there was a scalp-numbing chewing sound. These monsters gnawed through Zhao Tu's defensive magic shield. Alright, and Nangguo Yao Xie, win. When Zhao Tu's defense was about to be breached, King Mu frowned and announced. Concession. As soon as King Mu's words fell, the scarlet hell seen in the entire venue receded into Yao Xia's body like a tide. The latter pulled out the magic long sword from his abdomen and threw it on the ground. The magic circle around the field is closed again. But after closing this time, it was not the overwhelming sound of the audience, but there was deathly silence, fear because of the unknown. Everyone thinks that Su Xin has mastered a kind of unknown special magic, but psychologically they don't feel that Su Xin is so scary, they just think that he is monstrous and powerful. After all, the form of Su Xin's magic is also related to elements. It's just that the performance of physical strength is unimaginable. But this Yao Xie, no one has ever touched the magic he displayed. The evil abyss magic gave these audiences a great psychological shock, which made them involuntarily breed unknown fear. It was better than Zhao Tu losing to Yao Xie so easily, not to mention Yao Xia's relaxed appearance, obviously not doing his best. The audience was silent. Su Xin stood in the viewing box, scratching his chin with his fingers. He had learned about the particularity of abyss magic from Tu Xuan before, and the other party's powerful regeneration ability, which seemed to be immortal, was the biggest trouble, let alone the fact that he could devour magic power. Abyss Plane. 993, Jin 12 suddenly murmured. Huh, Brother 12, what did you just say? Su Xin looked back, too. No, nothing. Jin 12 opened his mouth, hesitated to speak, but did not continue in the end. Su Xin was silent for a while, and didn't ask any further questions. I'm not going to watch the next ring competition, call me when it's my turn to play. Su Xin touched the head of his sister Yang Su. His magic power fusion is not yet fully proficient, and there will be pauses when he uses it. He needs to make up for this small imperfection as soon as possible. Okay, Yang Su smiled sweetly, and then the brother and sister left early. Jin Shisun, Shui Lianhua, senior sister Qi and others were still discussing the ring competition just now in the box. Today's competition in the Mage arena is over. Hundreds of thousands of spectators filed out, and soon the entire arena became deserted. However, it was replaced by the boiling of the internet. This time, Su Xin's first popularity was rarely suppressed, and was replaced by Yao Xie, a 7th level mage from the small country of Annan. But no matter how heated the discussion, among the billions of netizens around the world, there is still no one who can clearly point out that what Yao Xie casts is abyss magic. Also, all the major forces and important figures in the imperial capital began to secretly contact Yao Xie. To them, never before seen magic is surprising, but not unacceptable. Even Xia Hongming secretly offered an olive branch to Yao Xie, thinking that the 4 dark horses of the elite kiln this time were rare talents. The next day, 2 games. The first match as the Holy Court Empire's Holy Maiden of Light, Millicent, against the demon god sect's Lust Witch, Yan Xi. The confrontation between the 2 great goddesses naturally became more intense than ever. However, what is disappointing is that in front of Millicent's bright magic, Yan Xi, the lustful witch, took the initiative to show weakness, and after a few symbolic resistances, she took the initiative to recognize it, which made the audience boo. The second round is Push, from the Bear Empire, who is also a 7th rank high-ranking mage, and is the representative of the Bear Empire. Although he is not sure if he is the strongest talent in the Bear Empire, but he is also very strong. Terrifyingly, in just 3 minutes, he defeated his opponent, a 7th rank median mage in a small country. In the following days, the arena competition is still in full swing. The first battle that attracted attention again was the second match of the 5th day. The island country's most powerful god, Kuga, lost to the demon sect's Dragon Mang. This Mang can't see the mountains or the water, and it seems that he used a special, shattering magic, to forcefully defeat the island country's strongest god on behalf of Kuga. This battle was very fierce. Chen fought for half an hour, and the audience who watched it were hooked. At the same time, Long Mang of the demon god sect is also confirmed as a 7th rank high-ranking mage, and is another dark horse to win the championship after Yao Xie. This is the end of the first group arena competition of the top 30. The top 15 contestants are freshly released, and each of them has aroused quite heated discussions on the internet. In the second round of the group arena, unexpectedly, Su Xin got a bye. He himself is still working on his proficiency in magic fusion. Yang Su didn't inform him that he was going to compete, so he can naturally think of the bye. The second round of the group arena lasted for 3 days. This round of group arena competition was quite fierce. Yao Xie once again easily crushed Wu Zhen, one of the previous 8 7th rank high-ranking mages, with a single hand of abyss magic, and advanced strongly to the quarter-finals. The same was true for the second dark horse, Long Mang, who defeated the proud representative of the White Eagle Empire, Rost. However, his battle seemed to be a lot of water. Rost didn't seem to care much about the outcome, and voluntarily conceded in the middle of the battle. So far, the quarter-finals are out. They are Holy Court Empire's Holy Maiden Millicent, Yao Xie from the small country of Annan, Long Mang, the dark horse of demon god sect. The Temple of the Elements lived up to the expectations of Hong Yang, the godson of the Temple of the Sun. Su Xin, a native of the Kyushu Empire. The remaining 3 are quite interesting. They are all 7th order medians. That's because in the second round of the arena competition, there were many strong battles, which resulted in the 3 7th tier median mages having a bye. And more interestingly, the 3 7th rank median mages voluntarily abstained after entering the top 8. But the ranking of the top 10 must be ranked. Even if they abstain, they will be divided into 6th, 7th, and 8th. No one expected that the Kyushu Empire officials would actually choose opponents at random, and did not deliberately manipulate to avoid strong battles. After all, this would make the elite competition step by step more enjoyable. That is to say, there are only 5 people left to compete in the ring. Among these 5, only 2 of the 8 who were listed as the favorites to win the championship before the game remained. After the 3 7th level mages who had abstained from voting decided the 6th, 7th, and 8th places, the battle list for the next round of the ring competition was also released. Bright Saintess vs. Hong Yang. Su Xin fights against Long Mang of Demon God Sect. Yao Xie had a bye. The next round of the arena competition is scheduled for 2 days later. Inside the Imperial Hotel, several demon god cult elders gathered in a room. Yan Xi, why do you have to admit defeat? How can the Holy Maiden of Light be your opponent? An elder of the demon god sect looked at the lustful witch Yan Xi and questioned her sternly. Are you the dog of the angry archbishop qualified to question me? Yan Xi smiled sweetly. Her voice was pleasant, but the content was not polite. You, the elder of the demon god sect, was furious immediately, and pointed his finger at the other party, but finally let it go. Long Mang, it's all up to you. You must get the magic treasure that Emperor Qianyuan 1.5 brought out. The elder no longer looked at Yan Xiai, but looked at Long Mang, who was at the side. Long Mang, as his name suggests, is as strong as a bull, with a height of 2.5 meters, and his body is full of muscles. Where can he see the slightest demeanor of a mage? I didn't expect that I would actually face Su Xin. I am very concerned about this peerless talent. My feeling is correct. Su Xin is definitely the same as me, he is my kind. I was still afraid that he would be bumped into by that Yao Xie who mastered abyss magic, but I didn't expect that he would really take advantage of me. Ha ha ha. Long Mang bared his teeth and laughed unrestrainedly. It's good that you have faith. The elders of the demon god sect all smiled. Long Mang's shattering magic is just his cover-up. He is stronger, but other magic. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.